Hello, hello.
All right. If people could let me know how the sound is. Let me change this. Let me click, get rid of that bar, and we should be live. Oh, and I can see you. I know the stream can see you. Just make some noise for a moment because I'm hand rocking. But how's your day been so far,
All
dude?
good. It's going pretty good. It's going
Yeah,
pretty good.
sweet. And let me just remove these questions for a second. There we are. Oh no, there we are. But yeah, we're live, everyone. So we're gonna be joined by Lord Gagaroth, or what's your first name, out of curiosity?
Jacob.
Jacob. Cool. Jacob's. Sometimes people have like really hard pronounced names. Like I had someone like it's a great name, but we had someone on here called Ezekiel. Ezekiel, which
Ezekiel, yeah.
yeah, which is a bit like it's a cool name. All right, can we turn him up a little lighter? We can. Oh, up a little. Yes. All right. Okay. If you could talk again, please.
Test, test, test. One, two,
Test.
three.
1, 2, 3. All right. Is that better, guys? Is that better? So yeah, we're live. Like I said, guys, we're probably gonna go for like a minimum 90 minutes. Roughly 2 hours is good because a single smidge more. All right. All right. We'll just blast him, guys. Full volume. Yeah.
Oh no, don't do that.
Don't worry. um, but yeah, because what I understand is like, because I know Doctor K doesn't really like to go for longer than about 2 hours, because I think that's like where you start capping out. Because there is a difference between what you can remember in terms of like what I say or what you say. You can remember more of what you say. You can imagine, and then after that it starts to go in like what you'll remember what you felt during the conversation, and that's like the emotional or like I think that's autobiographical memory type of way of looking at things. Uh,
Okay.
but thankfully we do have a VOD, right? So that
Yeah.
that that helps. Um, but sometimes like sitting there and watching a VOD for like 2 hours is a bit hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, out of curiosity, you do you know who Dr. K is?
I've watched a couple of the things. Like I watched one of the ones like where I believe he was interviewing Mitch Jones.
Okay.
Like I haven't dived too much into it. Like I've been wanting to a lot more, but it's like I've been at the moment, trying to get my stream off the ground. So it's like I haven't been able to watch streams because I have been streaming.
Yeah. Uh, absolutely. Yeah. Because if they're like 2 hours long, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, it gets a bit harder. Something you can watch while like preparing stuff. I know that you're not gonna get like DCM aid or like have a copyright strike if you watch them on stream, which
Hmm.
could be a bit beneficial. Like even I guess technically. So what I'll do is highlight this and then put it onto YouTube, and then you can watch this on stream if you want, and just discuss ideas and like that's like an extra way to farm content in a sense, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's pretty good. Out of curiosity though, how old are you?
I turned 30 in August.
30 in August. Cool. Cool. So you're a little younger than me. Most people think I'm like way younger, but I'm 32. So like 2 years older. I'm old, man. I'm old.
They call us boomers now, I guess.
Yeah. Well, anyone who is older than you is a boomer. Anyone younger than you is a zoomer or a kuma.
Uh,
That's like just Twitch, isn't it? It's like someone
yeah.
who. It's the same with video games. Someone who's like is better than you at video games is a fucking no lifer,
Yeah.
and there's someone who's worse than you is a fucking noob. It's just
Yup.
like one or the other, just the extremities. But boomers unite in the chat, absolutely. So yeah, guys, we're gonna talk. Like there's a few things that you want to talk about. Actually, let me just grab the form as well so I can actually remember that. And
Mhm.
responses, individual, boom. So you wanted to talk about it was self growth, mental health, motivation, anything you may need content wise. So like just general conversation essentially. Because
Gotcha.
I like I have quite good memory and I can remember you streaming the other day
Hmm.
and you were talking about. So I put the title as like family or toxic family because it sounds like your family like because you live with your grandmother, right?
Yeah, currently I'm staying with my grandmother.
And how did that come about?
Basically, since I was like 18 years old, I've bounced all over the place. Like I originally, because of like I had a very toxic and abusive like stepfather. So it's
Oh,
like the moment I was 18 and I was able to get out there in the world and go and explore and do my own thing. Like I've bounced from different parts of Florida, different parts of Georgia, all the way up to, Boston, like, so it's like I've been all over the place. And basically, I guess, to like last year, basically, it pretty much gets into like my line of work. Like I do security guard work, bodyguard work, and surveillance.
Okay.
And so basically, I was living with my buddy Nick, and basically, the company that I was currently contracted to was basically losing the contract to the post that I was on, so I was going to be laid off for a long period of time. And with security gigs, it's not always a sure thing. They come and go. You could be let go at any moment because the contract might, run out or something like that. So basically, they gave us the notice. They're like, okay, you have, a little bit of time, before, you guys are going to have to leave that post and you're going to be unemployed for a while. And so I was like, oh man. And I started, filing applications everywhere. It wasn't looking too good. So I was like, well, I might as well, I guess, head back home to my roots where I was born, here, up at my grandmother's in Georgia.
Okay. And is that close to your mother, or?
No, my mom lives with my stepfather. They're still down there in South Florida. I think they're
Okay.
living like somewhere near like Lake Okeechobee or something like that.
Okay. Not that I know where that is, but are they like the like essence of like Florida man? Is that like because
Bro, like at one point I was Florida man.
Yeah.
Like, I had plenty of like wild moments down there. Like living down there in Florida, like that meme will never get old because you never know what you're gonna see down there. And then
Yeah.
especially with my profession and like what I do, it's like I've seen it all.
like
Florida men and women both exist.
yeah, because like there's a good stereotype for Florida. Like it's like that. It's like its own Twilight Zone place.
Yes, it's its own like complete like country, universe, world. Like the moment you go across the state line, you're just like, okay, whoa.
Yeah, which is weird because that's the only place I've actually been in America. I went
Really?
to I went to Disney World. I went to America when when the day I left is when Hurricane Katrina hit.
Ooh.
So, yeah, so I like brought that shit on you guys, I guess, maybe. Fuck knows. But yeah, that's interesting. At least I'm guessing your grandmother's is a lot more stable then compared
Very
to.
stable. Because it's like, she's very religious, she's a very calm and collected person, very loving. So it's like, for me, it's a very good place. Like, to, like be able to actually, get my feet on the ground again, build something stable, and then, be able to branch out again.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you have a grandfather there as well, or?
No, he passed away about 10 years ago, I believe.
Okay, so your grandmother probably enjoys the company then.
Yes.
Yeah.
She loves me because it's like it's a big guy, spare set of hands, to help her with all the heavy lifting and things she can't do.
Yeah, because I like sometimes I consider doing that because my mom can be like a bit deranged as well because my parents were alcoholics. But so would you say that because you said that your mother got married to your stepfather, your stepfather was abusive. So do you think like that causes you a lot of say like was there a lot of trauma involved with that?
I'd say yes,
Yeah.
a lot. Like literally, it's part of the reason why I can't sleep at night. Like
Okay.
I haven't officially been diagnosed with like insomnia, but there will be a lot of nights where I don't sleep at all because it's like I'll go to sleep, have like like a nightmare, or some people refer to them as like night terrors and everything, and it's like I will literally like be sprung awake and then I won't go back to sleep just because it's like my blood's pumping, the adrenaline's pumping, because it's like some of my dreams, because I can remember my dreams. My dreams literally feel so real. And like literally, like I had one like a week ago, and basically I ended up tearing my bed sheets
Okay.
from it, like during I guess like I don't know what they're called, like episodes or something like that. But while it happened, I tore my bed sheets. But it's like sometimes it's like when I go and like I sleep, my dreams are like revisiting some of those moments, and it's pretty horrible.
Yeah, I can imagine. This is where like also like I'm fascinated. Like personally speaking, I'm fascinated by dreams because I always feel like they're a little bit of a gateway to the soul. Like that's
Right.
in my head, that's what they are. Because it's like there's a lot to that. Because obviously, just for the record, maybe I should have said this a bit earlier. Disclaimer: I'm not a professional. Anything I say here is just for entertainment purposes. I'm not
Right.
like able to diagnose you, and
Right.
I'm from a different country, anyways, right? But like because like when it comes to dreams, like I've read or I've heard that recurring nightmares, I don't know if you get them like recurring in a recurring manner, but they are essentially come from the idea that you're not able to process emotionally the trauma that you went through, the life events that you went through, and it's like obviously like that's a bad thing because like if it's affecting your sleep, giving you insomnia, then it makes you harder to be more productive or like efficient, or I can't think of the other word, but it like live a normal life to an extent, right?
Right.
Out of curiosity, do you ever meditate?
I used to do martial arts when I was younger, like because it's like I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, and
Okay.
like they had me on different kinds of medicines, like what was it, Ritalin, Adderall, and then I think there was a third one, but I don't remember the exact name.
Mm-hmm.
And so they thought, all right, well maybe this will help him, slow him down, or maybe help him out. So it's like they put me in Taekwondo. So it's like for a long time there, I did martial arts and things like that. So it's like they try to teach you, discipline, how to,
Yeah.
calm down, meditate, and different things like that. So it's like throughout the years, I've tried to do it, but because like literally, I don't know like how to like elaborate it, but it's like I guess like so much is going on, up there. It's like I can sit there and it's like I can feel like tension and things leaving, but it's like I can't do like a full like how like how like they go into like the mantras of it, where it's like some people say they can experience out of body like experiences and different things like that. Like I can't get to that kind of level of stuff. Like mostly I just sit there and it's like I can feel like a pressure or like a weight being lifted off of me.
Okay. When out of curiosity, when was the last time you meditated then?
Long time ago.
Okay.
It's been a while. I haven't done
Yeah.
it any time recently.
Yeah, because well, karate sounds like because yoga I didn't think was really that related to meditation, but yoga is about like being able to focus the mind.
Mhm.
This is what Dr. K like. I've learned a little bit more about it from Dr. K because he's a Buddhist, right? And Buddhist,
Yeah.
it's like whenever you want to look at the people who are best at something, or sorry, whenever you want to learn something, always look at the people who do it best, you know. And Buddhists are the best at like mindfulness, if like especially the Buddhist monks who can meditate properly because they can do some really wild stuff, when it comes to body mind, like abilities.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not one to really teach meditation because I'm not that great at teaching it. Because I feel like everyone has like this completely different experience when they meditate. Because I was talking without going that much into it, because technically speaking, they're a client that I started supervised coaching with Healthy Gamer, but some people they can meditate and then they don't realize that they're meditating, and then they still try to like dive deep and they're like it's not working, and they realize like they don't realize that they're doing it, but because they dive deep like that like ruins it, uh,
Mhm.
because it like I feel like sometimes meditation is the idea that it's like sometimes it's like ripping off a band-aid. So when you meditate, sometimes you just want to get into nothingness. And
Yeah.
as soon as you get into that nothingness, the first thoughts that brew to the surface, they're normally the ones that like you either have to do or the ones that you have to process. And I think like that can be like a powerful tool because the way I see it is like memories will show up in the way that because like that's a mind body soul type of thing. So memories will show up in the way that like they know that you will attach some meaning to them, and then you have to like extract the meaning from
Mhm.
in like your mind sense, and then you have to break it down, and then you have to process it in that way, and it's like that's how I meditate. Like
Right.
it's a little bit stranger. Because sometimes it's like just about clearing your mind, but it's like at the same point like whatever else is stopping you from clearing your mind, once you
Mhm.
start meditating, there's other things like you have to process. Like that's why like I don't know if you watched like Miskif, he had ADHD and Dr. K like did some meditation processes with him, and it seemed to like help him get to that like Zen state.
Mhm.
So I don't know I don't know if that would like guarantee you to help with your nightmares or your like your recurring nightmares or your night
Mhm.
terrors, but I feel like if you're having maybe those nightmares because you're having a hard time processing stuff from your past, like if you want to talk about stuff from your past, like things that were done to you, feel free to to talk about them, because I don't know if like you've kept them inside and you don't really share them with anyone, and like if you just keep them locked up, then they weigh heavily on you. Like it's nice to.
Maybe that's what it is. Like I've kept so much in for so long that it's like literally it's just built up to where it's like so much. It's like it's just constantly there, I guess.
Yeah, and
So it's like I could give an example, like back in middle school,
mhm.
like I guess that's one of like that was the craziest time for me. Like that's I have reoccurring nightmares of, like the schools there, my stepfather there, like that is like one of the main places I visit is like middle school.
Okay.
Because, that's when it's like I was being bullied, that's when it's like the abuse was worse because it's like I wasn't focusing a lot. Like this is in between, like they were trying to change up my medicines and like the stuff like that. So it's like, there'd be days where I wouldn't take it because it's like I felt like it wasn't helping me and different things like that. And with those kind of things, there's side effects to it. So it's like, um, I've always been, the nerd. Like, a lot of people look at me and like you wouldn't think, oh, okay, that guy's a nerd. Like you would think of me like, oh, he's a rocker or he's like goth or something like that. So it's like, but I was that kid that was always going to school, with Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon cards, Game Boys, different things like that. So it's like obviously, that's an easy target, back in the day for people to, bully. So it's like, I don't want to say at the same time, I don't want to say it. I got my ass kicked a lot,
Okay.
but so it's like, I in those moments, like I revisit those moments, not as often as much as, like my stepfather, but because I wasn't doing too well like in school, I ended up failing. I believe it was the 6th grade, and no, not the 6th grade, 7th grade. And so it's like basically I can remember that like it was yesterday, literally. Like after he found out that I had failed the 7th grade, like I literally got my ass like torn into and beat. Like he let's put it this way, like whatever was in his hand was my punishment tool. So it's like if he had a TV remote, if he had a belt, he liked using, because he was a chef, so it's like he liked using like some of his cooking paddles, and some of those paddles can get pretty damn big.
Mm.
So, and then belts and things like that. And so it's like, after I failed, like I don't know, like I guess, like it just started getting worse and worse and worse. And like I guess like over that summer he was trying to punish me, in a way. I don't know. Like he had a very abusive, childhood as well. So it's like I found out that it's like people that are usually tend to be abusive usually were abused, and it's like so they're doing what was done to them because they think it's okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like I guess in his mind, like maybe he was going to, because I grew up, in the Bible Belt. So it's like, punishment, don't spare the child the rod, because, you never know. So it's like he wasn't afraid to,
Mhm.
enforce what he loved to usually call the law. And so one of the worst times that I can actually dig deep in and remember, and like this is something that I thought about recently, was it got to the point where he couldn't hurt me physically anymore with like his punishments. So it's like he started thinking, how can I get him?
Ooh.
And like basically the only other way to attack someone if you can't beat them physically is mentally. So it's like what he did was he knew that it's like I loved my video games, I loved my TV, I loved my all my card games and all my stuff that I used to enjoy. So what did he do? He took everything out of my room, like literally every single thing, dismantled the bed, took literally everything out of my room except for a pillow, a blanket, and the mattress. And then like I had a nightlight in the wall. And then when you're younger, you're naturally, like most people, are scared of the dark. So it's like once he found out that that was one of my fears, he even took away the nightlight.
Oh.
So it's like literally, it's like, and his goal, I guess, like like that I would think of was to basically turn it into a prison cell. Basically, to try and correct it, be like, if you're going to continue to act this way, you're going to continue to do these things, this is what life has in store for you, to try and, recreate maybe like a prison cell or something like that for punishment. And so it's like, a lot of my dreams, realistically, it's like I go back to like, that room, being in that, empty, dark room, and then, hearing the loud pound on the door, and then he comes in, and then we'll just say dispatches his justice.
Mm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's like there's a few things to comment on that. Um, like, have you ever seen the film V for Vendetta?
Yes.
Yeah. So what you said about like most people who are that type of person are like normally someone who suffered that type of same sort of treatment, and I think Viva Vendetta says it quite well. It's like monstrous things were done to him, so therefore he became a monster.
That I say that to my family all the time. Like literally, like they always ask me. They're like, "I wish you'd be that little boy, that nice little boy that you used to be." And then I was like, "You guys have made me this monster. Now you have to deal with it."
Yeah. Absolutely. At that point, I don't know if are your parents. Is your mother still with this man?
Yeah, yeah, she's still with him.
Okay, so I'd like because it gets to the point where it's like, well, if they're still around, I don't know if they're like apologetic. I can imagine that they're not really. They're probably like ingrained in them. And it gets to the point where like the generation above us is a little bit more fucked up, where they're set in their ways, and especially like religion
Yes,
is a lot.
I completely agree with that.
So it's like I've technically I'm a carer for my parents, and I've just like I kind of like have to let go that like that's what they're always gonna be like, and it's a bit sad and disappointing, and it's like it is hard to let go of. I hope that they have the ability to change. Like I always you'd always want the best for people, but unfortunately not everyone has that. So it's kind of sad that they like they do that to you, and then they like, oh, why aren't you like that anymore? And it's like, well, you should know why, but because it's like that's the right thing to do, they can't see themselves as being the bad person in that scenario.
Yeah.
Which is like,
And because like they have that older mentality, they think they're always right as well because they're the older, the wiser and everything.
yeah, I hate that about people as a whole who just like narcissists to an extent. They just can't admit that they were wrong, right? I hate like people who can't admit that they're wrong. It's like something that drives me insane. Out of curiosity, have you told that story? When was the last time you told someone that story, or have you told anyone else it before?
Usually it's like that's not a story that I tell, like I broadcast to a lot
Yeah.
of people. Like I usually only say that to like someone that I would deem, like a close friend or something like that. Or, like working with security, those long, 12 to 16-hour shifts sometimes, so it's like like some of the people that I would trust, like I would actually, get to know them, and then I'd open up and then tell them a little bit, but not the whole thing. But that one, that's the straight whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I've told people, oh yeah, he took everything out of my room, left me with a bed, a pillow, and a nightlight. But it's like I didn't tell them, about the abusive stuff.
Yeah, it's just little bits in here because everyone sometimes like you can bond over it. With that, someone's saying, "Can I up your mic?" Probably. 1 second. I don't think. I think I'm maxed on volume here. So
Hold on, let me maybe if I bring mine a little bit closer to my face.
Like that. Okay. I'll have to up it in just OBS. But I'll have to remember then to lower it in OBS because otherwise I'll watch a video and it might blow out everyone's ears. Yeah. So we have to be a bit careful about that. Like some settings can be really because yours it sounds fine to me, but obviously OBS and so on.
Yeah.
But out of curiosity, do you because I was gonna say like sometimes like a lot of people have. Most people in my current or in my like experience in life, like I've all gone through like some weird fucked up shit as a result of their parents, especially like our generation. And then I feel like because obviously right now you're not just broadcasting it. Like I like we can somewhat consider each other friends because you seem like a good person. I'm happy to know you. But then you're also broadcasting it to the internet and people who don't know you that well or just like there's my viewers who like have no idea who you are, right? So there's also that aspect. So would you say like you maybe like you try to hide that or something that you don't share because it's a bit of something that you're ashamed of, you have like a guilt about it, or just
I don't realistically have any guilt about it because it's like, it's something that was done to me. It's not like something I've done. Like the guilt that I have that I hold on to like most of the time is things that it's like I've done, like where it's like it's a regret where it's like, man, I wish I would have chose a different decision or something like that. But like that, I don't know why. It's just one of those things that's just there, just burnt, like into your memories, and it's just like it won't go away.
Yeah, I like, but would you say that you have some sort of shame around it, maybe? Because it's like you're ashamed that this happened to you, and like I know it's not your fault. Like that's an important thing to like always like if there's any ideas that it jumps into your own head and it recurs, you have to be like that's not my fault. because it's realistically speaking, it's not, right? But it's like, my parents were alcoholics, so I always had shame about like where I come from or like what my family comes from. It's like, if they're monsters, does that make me a monster? And it's like,
Mhm.
it can have a knock-on effect where you have guilt from bad decisions that you made, but then like it's somewhat to be expected if that's the way you're raised, right? If you
Right.
think about it. So it's like something that maybe you just want to like, that's the type of thing that you would like have to like self-reflect and meditate on, because
Right.
without going into it, because this is your interview, but like I've had to stop my father like brutally murdering my mother with a house brick once,
Holy.
yeah, like I was on my way downstairs, they were drunk fighting because they were alcoholics,
Mhm.
and that's something that like, I had to clean off the blood off the walls and everything like that because they went to the hospital, and he went to obviously got arrested, but that's something that like caused me a lot of trauma,
Mhm.
and to like let go of it, like I didn't really tell people because I don't want people to know like that's where I come from, because they might be like, well, your family's like a piece of shit, and it's like, well, does that mean you're a piece of shit if your family's a piece
Yeah.
of shit, And I would say the answer to that is no, I'm not. But that's because like you have to work on it, and you have to accept that's something that you've gone through, and it's
Mhm.
like, you know it's like you could go with the idea like, once you overcome it, you're kind of, it's not something you regret anymore because it makes you stronger. Like the idea, like
Right.
whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, I
But
love that saying.
yeah, but it's like until you deal with it, it it doesn't make you stronger, because it's like you're still suffering the like emotional um, trauma as a result of the experience. Um,
Yeah.
so like I just wondering if that's like, does any of that hit resonate with you, or?
I guess so. Like it could. I guess I could, if you won't mind, I want to dive a little more like in depth, like with some of the dreams.
Yeah,
Is that okay? Okay. So let's put it this way. Like, I'm a tall dude. I'm a big dude. I'm 6 foot tall, 315. I want to be nice and say that right now, pounds. And basically, so it's like I'm a big dude. Like a lot of people usually don't mess with a big dude,
mm,
but it's like in my dreams, it's like I'm a little kid. Like I don't have my size. So it's like I guess the situation made me feel extremely inferior. And so it's like because at the time I felt weak and everything, and it's like I'm strong now, but it's like at the same time my mind plays tricks on me into thinking you're still this weak individual, like you don't have the strength that you think you do.
hmm,
But then on the other side, I have a part of me that thinks I'm the best thing that ever walked the earth, like there's like a yin and yang to it type thing, like everybody has that little part of their ego that boosts their confidence and things like that.
hmm.
So it's like I just lost my train of thought, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But okay, yeah, so the yin and yang on the egos, so it's like in those dreams it's like I'm small, I'm weak, I'm fragile, and it's like I come back to reality, and then it's like I'm standing up, and it's like, well, that's how it's like I know it's not real, because it's like I come back, and it's like I'm big again. So it's like you know, but I guess in those situations it made me feel very inferior, and that's where when I come back, I feel like my competitive ness comes from. It's like I know what it's like to feel small, weak, but then it's like at the same time I know how to be it feels to be big, strong, and at the top. And it's like naturally I'm a very competitive person, because it's like I want to be the best at everything, because it's like I feel like I have something to prove,
Hmm.
to show that I'm not weak, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That does make some sense. That's very curious as well, because I'm big into dream interpretation, and a lot of people, if you look at like Freud stuff or Carl Jung stuff, like they're the ones who like came up with dream interpretation, and that like, if you dive deeper into it, that's why I think like it's a gateway to the soul, right? Because it's like,
Hmm.
there's the yin and yang with the duality, because I like the word duality, because you always have to have
I love it. Yeah.
yeah, you have to have duality to everything, because without the good, you don't get the bad, or without the bad, you don't get the good, because where's the line of the balance between them? And it's just like
Exactly.
this duality. Um, but there's definitely a few things to like latch on to there, because obviously you feel small within your dreams, and that could be your unconscious mind like showing you that you haven't fully processed all of this. So like therefore within your dreams maybe you still feel like you're a child, because when you're dreaming it's like your ego is shut down because you're sleeping, but then the unconscious mind is like free to do what it wants and it can show you these things. And it's like sometimes what it feels like is it shows you something so deep and something that you can't face that you wake up, and it causes like like to me that's what a nightmare is. Obviously, like I think it somewhat varies based on everyone's own life, but it's like I do feel like there's an overlap in like structure to dreams, but then obviously like maybe you're reinforcing that everything's okay because you're a big guy now and it wouldn't happen to you now. But then
I think that's exactly what it is, because it's like, before I was small, now I'm big, and it's like I know I would be able to, take care of myself.
yeah, but then within that it's like maybe there's something you still haven't like like you might hold some sort of grudge or guilt or shame or something within the dream that's still like like rummaging around. That's like I'm not saying like that's definitely what it is, but I find that like that's jumping out at me there.
I like the word that you used, grudge. Like that would be like a perfect way to describe like some of like my parts of my personality. Like my whole life, it's like I've held, like grudges. It's like I've had a lot of anger issues, and so it's like maybe that's what it is. It's like I held a grudge. I just lost my train of thought again. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Like literally, I'm processing like so much, and
Yeah,
everything revisiting all the memories and everything all at once. It's like, ooh. So grudge. Yeah. So if anything, it's like I hold a grudge, and it's like that's where like the part of me that has something to prove wants to prove it wrong. Like I'm holding that grudge. Like I couldn't do something then, but it's like I could do something now, type thing. And it's like I hold a lot of anger in me because it's, I guess, like because of not being able to prove myself, with that competitiveness, not being able to be the best in a certain situation, like it makes me angry. Like why can't I be better, type thing, I guess. So it's like I just lost it all again. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah.
I mean, we were talking about grudges. Like, there's a few like aspects to that, because something I've noticed is if you have like technically let's just call them like abusive parents, or like mainly the male, if they are just like have that sort of thing, you end up with like you're hypercritical of yourself, and it's just like you never
very.
yeah, and it's like you're just never good enough because like like no matter how hard you try, like you still fail. But obviously, like if that's what you're living with, I don't think it's fair to expect you to be like that functional of a human being, because you're living in abuse. Like it's not
That's exactly how I feel. Like I'm living in an abyss, because it's like I live a life of regret. I literally have that mentality that, and see, that even goes into like, confidence when speaking with women, that I have that, mild insecurity of saying I'm not good enough for this person, type, situation.
Yeah. Definitely. There's definitely a lot to process. Like that's like it's horrible like what parents can do. I think maybe parts of it are like because the duality between being within the dreams that you're small and not able to stand up for yourself, and now you're big. So there's the the yin and the yang. Maybe there's like also some aspects where like you have to forgive yourself that you couldn't defend yourself or that you didn't know better.
I also have nightmares though of it like completely switching, like in the role where it's like there'll be days where I'm in his shoes and he's in mine, and it's like that's where I come back and that's where I get my revenge. And then at the end of the dream I feel completely horrible, because it's like I'm not that type of person to want to do those kind of things to a person. Like I don't want to hurt people, I want to help people.
Yeah.
So it's like like it's a double-edged sword on there. Like I have the ones where I'm weak, can't do anything, and it's like I'm being hurt. And then I have the other side of the dream where it's like I'm the torturer, I'm the one that's doing the hurting. So it's like those two dreams, like they come easily 4 times a week.
Okay.
Like it's one or the other. And then some of the other dreams, like I have another dream that I guess I could talk about, which is they usually involve water. Like usually I'm drowning or there's like a tidal wave about to, crash against me or something like that, and it's like I'm always running and I can't escape it.
Okay. Is is there anything about water in your past, or like does water have like any symbolic meaning to you, or like do you
Well,
think?
when I dove into like some research about it, like a lot of people that share their experiences about it say that it deals a lot with anxiety and you're overwhelmed with your feelings. Like apparently water represents your emotions, and so it's like my emotions are constantly crashing against each other. And the only thing that realistically, like looking into my memory, like that dealt with water was learning how to swim. Like my stepfather's mother, like we went to go visit her, like I guess you could say my step grandmother, and like basically everybody was going to have a pool day, and
Mhm.
like I didn't know how to swim, and so it's like I don't know if this is a thing, but it's like like what my step grandmother told him was, all right, you want to teach him how to swim, take his floaties off, throw him in the deep end and see what happens. So literally they went, they just grabbed me and they threw me in the deep end of the pool, and I sat down there for like, I know it wasn't like 5 minutes, but it's like I want to say it felt like an eternity, like
Yeah.
sitting down there until someone actually jumped in there and actually got me out of the water. So it's like literally, it's like like I think about it as like what if they would have never jumped in there? I could have possibly died or something. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Uh, Definitely. It's one of those things where it's like I said, I'm a big fan of personal symbology. So yeah, like you know, like in like a divination sense, or like a symbolic sense, water normally does resonate with emotions, because emotions can go up and down and they flow like water, and
Yeah.
then water is also quite a powerful thing, because like it can cut through rock, and it's like there's a quote to which water cuts through rock not because of its power but because of its persistence as well. But like a tsunami is a powerful force.
Hmm.
So like there can be extra like symbolic things that would resonate within you. But yeah, these like I'm glad that you feel comfortable enough to like share these with me on
Yeah.
stream
No
as well,
problem.
because it's
No
like
problem.
I'm a big fan of the idea that like once you put it out there in the universe, it's like out there, it's not like it's not holding you down anymore, and it's not like off your chest. And especially if you can do that in like um a place where you feel safer, right? Because then
Yeah.
it's like you don't feel bad for doing it, you feel like more enlightened essentially.
Yeah.
So I would be a little bit curious, because like some of these things are like I would be curious to see if you have these dreams again and how you react to them next time. So like
Hmm.
maybe in a week or so we have another session. Who knows? Like not that this is a session like a professional
Right.
session,
Right. Right. Right.
but it's cool to just talk about these things.
Hmm.
Because I dreams are really unique for me. Like dreams are something I'm fascinated by, and I think like not enough people give them credit for what they can hold. Like I
Yeah.
really think that they're like a massive gateway to the soul. And like a lot of people do get sucked into like symbology of like everyone like compares it to this, so therefore it must be that. And it's like not really. Like if you lived in your own little world and never knew about all those stories, like like
Yeah.
you get into some like spiritual sense there at that point, and it's like certain life experiences can override that,
Yeah.
definitely.
A
Um,
lot of people actually told me that they think like the my taste in music and like my taste in movies and like the things that I like revolve around the past traumas. Like I love horror movies.
okay.
I relate to them a lot. Like I can relate to both the victim and like the killer. Like I could see both sides, like the good and the bad and everything like that. And then it's like when it comes to music, like I love metal. Like that's what I'm known for on here, is
Yeah.
metal. So it's like like I guess like the expression and the feelings that are expressed in both ways, through the horror movies and in metal. Like I can appreciate both sides of that because it's like I've experienced it.
Mm. Yeah, I feel you on that. I know that that is something like that definitely correlates. Like I wouldn't say like I went through as much like physical trauma in your sense. Like my parents were never abusive, but it was like, you know, alcoholism and watching them fight and argue all the time, and like, you know, like they would fight each other to an extent, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I'm not one for gore or like scary stuff. Realistically, I like I like good stories. But I love psychological thrillers.
Right.
And I do have a very dark sense of humor. So there's that
Same.
like I have a very dark sense of humor, and there's certain things that you can look at, like for example, depreciative type of humor is considered a coping mechanism,
Hmm.
because it's like it revolves around the idea that like if you weren't laughing you'd be crying and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and you like, but realistically speaking, you shouldn't make a joke about something that you can change. You should only make a joke about something that you can't change. So for example, I don't know if you make any jokes about your weight as a coping mechanism.
Yeah. I usually do. I usually do.
Yeah, but realistically speaking, like you shouldn't do that, because then you're just like, there's a few aspects like if you're making depreciative type of humor, you're taking away power from other people to attack you with those things, because
Hmm.
you can then like wear it like armor. You're like, oh, you can't make fun of me for being overweight. I do it to myself. Like fuck you. But then like that can be something that you do for long enough, and it also becomes a bit of your personality.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where people can't realistically attack me, with like insults or anything like that.
Yeah,
My skin has become so thick that it's like the only person that can harm me is myself.
yeah,
So it's like, when people sit there, like, we all get the streams on, where we're just chilling, having a great time. And all of a sudden that one troll pops in the chat that is a little extraordinary, than normal trolls that try to like push all your boundaries. And I just sit there and shrug it off and laugh, because it's like, he's not saying anything,
yeah.
bad that I won't say worse to myself.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. It's like when you're as like I'm hypercritical of myself. I'm like so fast to like criticize myself. Like I don't even think I'm good at like talking psychology, but like apparently I am. So like this is why I'm doing it, you know.
Right.
And I'm still yet to prove that to myself. But it's like you just get thick skin, and it's like there's literally nothing that you could say that would like make me feel bad. But I'm just so like I'm so fast to attack myself that I do it myself. Like it's like I don't even need
Yeah.
you, which is something that I have to overcome. One thing, like I stopped making depreciative types of jokes, because you just like you like yeah, you remove the ability to like I can't remember what it is, but I have like a whole thing that I wrote out about how it's just like it's a coping mechanism essentially, and it's
Right.
like it is, or it's also like it's very easy to get instant gratification for or attention when you make depreciative types of jokes. So you might like make a joke about your weight, and people will be like, oh, you're not that big, or you're not that overweight, or you're
I
not that.
get that all the
See,
time. And like, to me, it's like I'm a beluga whale.
yeah, see,
So
but then it causes this distortion, because it's like instead of it like I'm not gonna say like obviously being a healthy weight is a good thing, right?
Mhm.
Um, but then you might think, oh, I don't have to lose any weight because people are saying I'm not that overweight, and you get instant gratification for that joke instead of doing the work of losing weight and then
Yeah.
actually feeling better about yourself. So it's like it's one of those things like social media. This is something that happens on social media a lot. Is
Mhm.
they'll tweet something and get instant attention or gratification, and then they don't have to change, because like it's like either that or they can be funny, like, oh, you're
Yeah.
so funny, like that's, and they're like, oh, cool, like it's okay that I have this because I'm funny. And like there's a couple of aspects to like why, well, if you sit down and think about it, you're like, actually, wow, like all those things are like really not good for like the soul, or the being of a human being. And that's something I only realistically learnt like in the last like 2 years. I was like, wow, that's not even like common sense, or like not common sense. That's not common knowledge, you know.
Mhm.
And I think like, so like since I learned that, I don't make any depreciative types of jokes. And I've noticed like that would increase like to an extent my self confidence. I was still drinking at the time, right? So it's hard to judge it, but as like I've quit drinking, I quit smoking weed and nicotine. Only like
Yeah, I did all of that as well. Like, I got rid of all of it out of my life, because it's like, in my early 20s, like I actually could say, don't do what I did, people. But it's like, I started drinking at 16 years old,
Mm.
smoking at like 12. I would go to my stepfather's ashtray, take his cigarettes, and then go outside and smoke them. I guess like I don't know why I did it. I guess like like I saw adults doing it and they said it was stress relieving, so I guess that's what I did. So it's like throughout my life I smoked, I drinked, and like once I hit the legal age of doing it, that's when it spiraled completely out of control, because that's when I was able to actually purchase it myself.
Yeah.
And then it's like literally when I was working, all of my money would go to like alcohol, cigarettes. When I did get off of cigarettes, I started vaping, and then it's like I was just constantly buying different kinds of vape juices and other mods for it,
Hmm.
and it burned a hole in me financially and like physically and mentally, because
It's a
it
coping mechanism.
yeah.
Yeah, it really is, and it's like it is important to note, like, well done for quitting those things.
Mhm.
You've quit vaping as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
vaping
well done.
completely gone. Like the drinking, I drink in a social setting now. Like I haven't like taken up like a complete sobriety type thing, because it's like I don't want to deny myself, maybe one simple pleasure in life. But it's like something that can actually affect your health, with the smoking, the vaping and things like that. I completely, cut it out cold turkey. And
Well
it's like
done.
people that have smoked their whole lives tell me, how did you do it? And that's when I say willpower. Like
Yeah.
that is one of my because I saw it as one of your questions, like what was it called, Dama or something like that, or like the power of will, like willpower, or what was it, like some kind of actions, like where you believe it, it becomes, you project it.
Oh,
Like I
okay.
guess like willpower going into the power of manifestation. So it's like I can manifest a lot of things in my life because it's like I will think on it hard and make it become real.
That's an important thing, because people have been asking me the same, because I quit alcohol, nicotine, and marijuana like 6 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and I quit all three of them in 1 week. And
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. So I'm I'm still suffering a little bit of the like thing, because some
The
people,
ticks.
yeah, but like I haven't cut alcohol completely out, because it was spirits for me, so I would drink, like, I'm quite underweight, so a bottle of vodka for me is quite a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But for example, I went out today. I went to my favorite restaurant. I had a pizza and I had a beer, but
Yeah.
I didn't touch. I haven't touched any sort of spirit, because I feel like, you know, drinking a beer isn't gonna be like, especially with food, isn't so bad. Outside the house in a restaurant, you know, that's the only time I think I've had like 5 beers, right? So
Right.
like 7 weeks or something like that. So like that's, I agree with you that, like, you're allowed the simple pleasures, like a single beer in a socializing aspect, a pint if you go out, and watch a sporting event with your friends,
Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
and then it's to know your limits. So I think like I would be okay drinking, like, a beer, as long as I don't go to spirits. I I sometimes I wonder, like, because I know that I was doing it to suppress certain parts of my being, but like it's like we're not talking about me. But yeah, I just
Right.
want to say, like, it's like well done on quitting those things, because it's not hard, and I think there's a few aspects to it. Like, willpower is an important one. You have to have the willpower. You have to be like, okay, I'm sick of this. Like, this isn't helping my life. Because that's when you become an addict. Is
Yeah.
when you're doing them, and then you get so sucked into doing them that you can't operate without them. So like,
Yeah.
I can give you an example. I feel bad because I use him all the time as an example, but I think he's quite a good one of like how you can just fuck your life up. My best in real life friend, who he lived with us and he moved out. He's got 2 kids by 2 different women, and he's been like red pilled by Donald Trump and Jesse Lee Peterson. He loves Jesse Lee Peterson, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, not to get that into politics, but obviously, Trump has caused like a stir in society which is unique, but I think like he can be a little bit on the like sexist side of life, right?
Hmm.
Without going too into it, or how he views individuals sometimes. I think people who are like proper sexist will lean towards Donald Trump as opposed to like other people in politics, right? And he he couldn't stop smoking weed. He's like, oh, I need to smoke weed because I've got so much on my mind. I'm like, no, you have so much on your mind because you're too busy smoking weed to deal with your problems. That's
Yeah.
that's a dependency. And I think you you have to notice that first. If you don't notice that that is a problem, then you're never going to fix that problem. So that's like, self-awareness. And then there's different aspects to like being hypercritical of yourself. So this is something I learned from Dr. K, and it did actually help me, is it's actually expected that you fail the first time trying to quit.
Yes, I did. Horribly.
Yeah, like, so it's pretty much impossible to quit the first time. It's like pretty much impossible. And I think this, like, I like metaphorizing stuff from films. So it's like The Matrix, when he tries to jump from one building to the other one, and he's like, and they're like, what if he does it the first time? It's like, no one does it the first time. Like, no one quits the first time. But it's important that if you fail trying to quit the first time, that you don't focus on the failing, right? You focus on like the fact that you tried, which is a positive, and then
that you stood back up and you're going to try again.
That, yeah. And then normally you'll at least go like a day without doing it, right? And then it'll be like, okay, like I'm a fail. It's not like, oh, I only did it for a day, I'm a fucking failure. It should be like, I did it for a day, like I can do this, and then focus on within that day, like, how did you feel, why did you have the ability to do it for a day, and focus on that. And then the next day is like, okay, I've done it for a day, now I can do it for 2 days, and but like, if you think, oh, I've done it for 1 day, and then you get to the second day, you think, oh, like last time I failed after a day, like, oh, will I fail now? You focus on failing, and then you manifest in failure,
and then it starts again.
So like, that's an important thing to really, like, once again, that's like not that common knowledge, but it's like everyone fails the first time, and that's okay. Don't focus on the failing. So it's like, yeah, like that's something that really helped me recently. Because it's like, if I was a week into it and I wanted a joint, it'd be like, you've done this much, don't give up now. Like, how could you go this far and quit now? Or like,
right.
You have the ability to do it because you have no problems, So that's something like, if you ever talk to people about like trying to overcome their issues, you can like mention that, because I think that's a really, that's how you manifest positive things. So yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, like, I think it's really important to like say congrats, because how long have you been?
Thank you.
How long have you been clean?
For smoking, like altogether on smoking, 6 months.
Okay, that's great.
Drinking, like I said, I didn't completely get rid of that, so it's like, but compared to what I used to do, like I used to, going back into the dreams, I would literally because I'd be afraid to go to sleep, I would drink myself so much to where it would force me to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's exactly why I did it.
It got to the exact point that I'm doing that every single day, and it got to the routine where it's like, if I wanted to sleep, I had to get completely obliterated. And then like you go, and then what started making me realize was different family members saying, hey, you're destroying yourself. Family members and friends, they're like, you're destroying yourself. And then it took me going to my bank and then looking at my bank statements at how much I was spending doing all of this, and it's like, financially it can destroy you.
Yeah.
Drinking, smoking. And then I was also at the time doing that, I was also going to like entertainment clubs. Everyone can assume what those are. I was going there because it's like, I'm just trying to I guess make myself happy. It's like, if the alcohol wouldn't do it, the cigarettes wouldn't do it, the women wouldn't do it, it's like, how could I make myself happy? And so it's like, once I stepped away and really looked at myself and everything and evaluated everything financially, it completely changed my mindset. Like now, the thought of going to a bar and spending $300 or $400 on alcohol, I'm like, I'm not doing that again.
No.
Or going and spending and like, when I buy like vapes and when I bought all that stuff, I didn't buy the cheapies, I bought the best of the best. So it's like, to go spend like $300 and $400 or even close to $500 on a vape, or even going to an entertainment club to go be entertained, it's just like, you go back and you look at the financials and you're like, holy shit, did I really spend that much money? And then like that's also something that like goes into my regrets, is it's like, what could I have done better with my life if I hadn't have wasted all that time and all that money on all that stuff?
Yeah.
And so
I definitely relate to that, because I like at my lowest I hit like 110 pounds or 100, probably like 104 pounds, and I'm 6 foot tall, right? So I like, to get me wasted is probably a lot cheaper than it is to get you wasted. So I can
Yeah.
imagine, like, it's like I like literally like, and I would also like, because I wasn't working as much because I like, I'm a bit hard. Like I had jobs, but I would be like, I'm a lot like, I'm a very unique individual, right? So I like, security isn't something I could do because I was good at like customer service, but I didn't really want to work, and like I was a bit aggressive or toxic because I was drinking a lot. So like that's not really
Right.
good for a customer service role, and I didn't have loads of money, so I would eat less, so I got drunk faster, and like that's obviously like
Yes. Exactly. There'd be days where I wouldn't even eat at all. All I would be doing, well, I'm hungry. Here, drink another one.
yeah.
Type thing. To fill yourself.
Yeah, and my teeth are a bit like, they're not that bad, but it was like sometimes you would wake up and you don't want to brush your teeth because brushing your teeth and then drinking vodka, because I would drink vodka.
It would taste horrible.
It would taste fucking rank. It would like taste
Right.
really bad. So like, I like, they scrub you, and when like you like go to the dentist, they have like this scrub bit, so like all the smoke stains have gone, but like obviously there's lasting effects, right?
Hmm.
So like yeah, that's something that like I have to I have to live with. It's not the worst thing ever. But you said something that you said the word regrets. I think I'm past the stage where I would call it regrets, right? Because the idea is, if you learn from it, then it's an experience, and like
Okay, so
so it's like, I don't know if you're still stuck within that, because obviously you still got a lot of trauma from your past that you might not have processed, but the idea that you could like, because things inside my head that are going off right now is like, you could stream, like, because I know you want to stream, and like streaming can just be a good way to just talk and get things off your chest. It sounds like you're capable of working, which is quite good, because right now, because I'm so underweight, like I can't spend that much time on my feet because my ankles end up hurting. But like even walking up like a slight hill, my feet are like dying. But I think that's like, as I gain more weight and I go to the gym, like that'll get better. But it's like, like, have you ever heard the saying, like a good saying is your trauma or your suffering starts to end when you turn it into wisdom. And it's
you
like,
turn it into an experience and something that you've learned from.
yeah, and then you can also like, you can verbalize it, or you can share a story or philosophize it to help other people.
Hmm.
So obviously, like you've got like quite an interest in life, and you've gone through a lot of shit. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who, like once you get back onto your feet, because like I'm not expect like personally speaking, I'm not expecting to make like much money from this from Twitch, right?
Right.
It's the fact that I'm using my experience to go into mental health and help people in that regard. And I just stream to meet other people, network, and like I'm moving away from video games anyways. But it's the idea that like I'm turning my suffering into like experience and wisdom, and there's some people who I can help, and that to an extent you could say is like your dharma, because like that will bring you a lot of meaning and purpose to life, especially if you've done security, right? Because there's probably like a lot of things that you could do where it's like there's kids out there suffering and you could go like save them, but we're going a bit off topic there, because like I just wanted to focus on the idea that you said regrets. And
Yeah.
if you subconsciously is just saying regrets, because like maybe it's just like bad word choice in that moment, but like I wouldn't say that there's any regrets there, if unless you don't learn from them, which it sounds like
Right.
you somewhat have. So I think I think you're doing that great in that sense. But then maybe that's something that you should still like sit down and like meditate on or self-reflect on, type of thing, because I don't think that you have to live with the nightmares or the recurring or the like the night terrors forever. I still have a little bit of wild dreams, but I know that it's because I'm like, I suppressed a lot of bullshit about my life, and it's like it's brewing to the surface now as I bear to myself. And
I've noticed that as well. Like the more that it's like I'm progressing and the more that I'm building, and like working on myself, it's like it's digging up so much more, and it's like it seems like it's getting worse, but at the same time it's like I'm just going up another step on the ladder of, self-improvement.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you overcome them one by one, but it sounds like that's like what you're doing. But yeah, I just like noticed that you used the word regret, because I think it's okay to say like for example, I started drinking as the result of an abusive relationship, and I wouldn't say I regret like like I was an alcoholic, say, or alcohol dependent for like 4 years. Um,
Mhm.
I would say like, I regret not having enough self esteem or self love where I allowed someone to take advantage of me. Like,
I had a big problem with that too, like the not having enough self love and like self worth, and it's like I had a lot of people, like, you know, take advantage of me, like I guess like I was that easy target, like where like going and trying to date
hmm
females and different things like that. It was hard for me to tell whether, okay, is this person being genuine, like is this something that's real, like is this person my friend, am I really dating this person type thing, or are they just taking advantage of me? And 99% of the time I was the guy, I was that fool that was stuck in the friend zone and didn't realize it,
mm.
and got taken advantage of a lot. And that's why like I got a lot of my tattoos, like when I was drinking and stuff. Is it okay to if I
Yeah, yeah.
I'll show you like some of the tattoos. Like I would go, and it's like every time I was rejected, like this entire like part right here, like all my tattoos, every time I was rejected by a female, I would go and just get something else added. But
Okay.
then it got to the point, where like financially I couldn't do it anymore, because I guarantee you this whole left, my whole left arm will be covered in them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely feel that. I don't have tattoos. One reason is because I'm so slim, and I knew at one point like I'd have to gain weight and whatever, and it's like if I
Mhm.
had like a small tattoo there, like, and I gained some weight because I'm skinny as fuck, right? Like it would just blow up, and like, if like that's so like I'm I'm quite skinny, right? So if I had a
Yeah.
tattoo, and like it would just look awful. So and I like I'm a big fan of meaning and purpose, but it's like I that's the only regret is like a lack of self love. And without going into the idea of there's a few ideas where like I'm a big fan of the phrase where I realized this recently, and it's like it's something I would say I coined myself. I don't think I've read it anyway, but it's like a lot of people think that they're really good people for self-sacrificing their own happiness for other people, and it's
Holy
not.
shit. That's like perfect way to describe me. I do that. Like literally I've done that like my whole life. Like I've gone out of the way to like even put myself into harm for others' way to make sure that others were okay. Like I've had that, like, like everyone likes to call it that white knight
Yeah.
mentality, because it's like, this will go a little off topic, but this will give you a reason why I've had the mentality. Basically, my father was a police officer.
Okay.
Like he originally was a Marine, and then military. He just kept going, with that, that kind of, career choice, and so he became a police officer. So it's like, growing up having, someone that is a police officer that was in the military, that it's meant to represent protecting people, helping people, and doing people. And growing up with my family being extremely religious, like they're always like, do unto others that you would do unto yourself. So it's like always be kind, be kind, be kind. And that has led me to be taken advantage of as well, because it's like people know, all right, this guy's going to do anything and everything he can to sacrifice whatever he needs to, whether it's money, mind, body, and soul, or something like that, to help me. And
Yeah.
it's like I've been taken advantage of a lot with that aspect as well.
Yeah. And it is awful because you think, oh, like I'm a good person because I helped, and it's like you're not. You're like if you self-sacrifice your own happiness for other people, you like I just use the word pushover, right?
Right.
But you get stuck into the mindset that you're a good person because you're helping. And it's like, but you're not helping yourself, or like, if you're walking down the street and you don't have much money and you give money to a homeless person, you think, oh, I'm a good person because I helped a homeless person. But
Yeah.
then you don't have much money for yourself. Like you're just self-sacrificing. And
Yes.
I think it's like, I think it's really important that like people don't self-sacrifice. Because that's what I realized recently is something like I'm pretty sure no one told me that. And I have like sometimes when you're drinking you get these random thoughts, right? Like it's and I also get very weird dreams, but I'm that type of person, right? But
Mhm.
that's something I learned, and that's something I've tried to stop doing to better myself and put myself first, because obviously certain things like past trauma, being hypercritical of yourself, makes you feel like you're not deserving of these things. And that could also be like why like rejection happens, because sometimes you try like, because I've been there with women where it's like sometimes you might try to buy their love, and that's obviously gonna that's not gonna work out.
That's what I usually, that was like my go-to, because when I was younger, so it's like I had a lot more I could give. And it's like that's where it's like I was taken advantage of a lot, because it's like I'm sitting there thinking, hey, I'm buying this person's love. If I get her this or if I get her that, she's gonna love me more, she's gonna like me more.
Yeah.
And so it's like it made me feel horrible.
Yeah. You cut out for a slight second there, but yeah, you because Discord can be a bit shitty, only for a second.
Yeah.
But it's like the idea that like, did you realize that you were buying their love, or did you think, oh, I'm supporting the person I love, therefore they should love me more?
And back when I was doing it, like I thought I was doing a good thing. I'm like, okay, I feel like, if I get her this, she's going to care about me. Or if I get this person this or do this for this person, like it'll, bring me happiness. But then it's like now that I'm in the spot, like reassessing and reevaluating everything, I realize, I was played the fool.
Yeah.
Like literally, like they took advantage of me so bad. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And like it's made me distrust a lot of people, like men and women, family, everything. So it's like, it's hard.
Yeah, I will say it gets better as you, like, as you put yourself first, as you stop self-sacrificing your own happiness for other people, it gets better, because then you start loving yourself more, and then you have an understanding of what's expected of you. If someone's taking advantage of you, you're like, fuck off, because you will stand up for yourself more in that sense.
Yeah.
And then that also goes into another thing with relationships, is like a lot of people will, like, they'll end up having like they'll end up seeking love and affection of other people because they can't generate self-love for themselves. And that's something that you have to be careful of as well, because like sometimes you sit there, it's like, why are there all these fucking toxic people like having relationships, right? Because like women are like, everyone's always like, oh, you the bad guys get the women, right?
Dude, that is something that has pissed me off since the dawn of time. It's like we have been lied to, man. Like Disney Channel tells us, all right, all girls want that Prince Charming, the guy that's gonna, give her things, buy her things, treat her correctly and everything. And then like I'm looking at all my friends' relationships, and like the stuff that you see in random videos and on TV and things like that. And it's like that's not the case. It's like most of the people that it's like you see, it's like it's very toxic and it's horrible. And it's like, I don't know, like it's like literally it makes me like feel like shit in a way.
Yeah. There are a couple of aspects to that I've noticed, because what I've noticed is the reason like bad boys get or have more attention from women is like they're normally like quite like selfish individuals, right? So they actually like believe that they just like deserve it, or they act like it, and they're very confident, which is like a very attractive quality is confidence. But then obviously they're not like, when you're a narcissist, you don't realize that you have issues, right? Because like you're a bit of a sociopath, and like you use other people to generate love and affection for you. But then when you're a self-aware individual and you actually like care about people, you try to like make their life better as well, right? Because people who are selfish, they use other people, whereas like it's like, I would say like it sounds like you don't use other people, right? You try to help their lives.
I try, if I'm doing something for someone, it's for their own betterment. Like most of the time when I do things for people, like I don't benefit at all.
Yeah.
Like there's very few times where it's like like I'll be like, okay, well that can benefit me, I'm definitely going to do it. But it's like more often than not, I'm sacrificing.
Yeah.
And I'm the one giving.
Yeah, because I bet there were times when, without going too into it, or like without making it too sexual, there are times where like when I was drinking, because there's a duality to when you drink, right? So as you're drinking, like your ego starts to shut down and whatever's suppressed starts to come out. And if you've been a nice guy or a nice person, you've cared about other people and you've self-sacrificed, then when you're like drunk or like once whatever is suppressed starts to come out to play, right? Like it becomes a lot more aggressive sometimes. In my case, it was a lot more aggressive, and it was like much more confident or a bit more toxic. And there were times where like I definitely had like loads more attention from women when I was like that type of toxic to an extent.
I think that's why I drink as well. Like that actually makes a lot of sense. Like in the situations where I was always drinking and everything like that, when I was sober, it's like I felt like there was no attention. But then the moment that I started drinking, boom, instantly I'm the man of the room.
Yeah.
Like, I was saying on my stream the other day, my friends would always go pump some drinks in me, and then they'd be like, all right, go over to that group of girls, get them over here to the table, and I'll be like, gotcha, be right back, 5 minutes. I'm not the best looking guy, but I would go pull groups of girls and bring
Yeah.
them to the table for my friends. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, like that in my opinion, like that's like a manifestation thing, right? Because it's like
Mhm.
you shut down certain things like self judgment or self doubt, self criticism, all of those things. Um, like this is where like they say like like alcohol,
Yes,
liquid
liquid
conf, but it like because I've been fascinated by this like nearly my entire life, right? Because my mother is like a sweetheart when she's sober. She's like such a nice person, but all she's done is like self-sacrifice and be a pushover and a loser. But then when she gets drunk, she starts fights with everyone, like everyone, and she's like
Yeah.
such a nasty person when she's drunk. Even after like 2 drinks, it just like you can just see her turn. And I like my dad is like quite selfish, money oriented. Like my dad, like my parents are polar opposites, right? My mother was like a really giving mother, but my dad is like a con man, right? In a sense, like he's a geezer if you know what that term is. Like he cares about his friends. He likes gambling. He likes betting. He's in with like the people like horse racing, gambling. He knows loads of thieves, and they'd bring him stuff, and he'd sell it. Like that type of person.
So there's like a fence.
Yeah, I
Like
guess.
yeah.
I'm British, right? So there's like, but in the UK you call that like a geezer, but it's like a bit of a con man, right? Because he's you have to have like idea of like being able to sell and stuff like that, a network.
Yeah.
And they're fucking polar opposite. But when he gets drunk, he gets really giving, and is like much more giving with money, But when he's sober, like he pretty much like drove my mother to mental illness because he had gambling problems, and like the house got nearly taken off us because of debt, and like I don't know, I something about remortgaging the house, maybe something like that. I was a lot younger,
Right.
but like as a kid, I would sit there and like. I could still think about the times where I was like, why are they so different when they're sober compared to when they're drunk? And it's like, this is something like I want to like go back to education and like thoroughly like dig into, because I would say it's a part of like the mind, body, and soul. And if you have a disconnection between the mind and the soul when you're sober, then the soul comes out in like an opposite effect, right? Which is like unconsciousness, right? So it's like unconsciousness is the soul, the mind is the ego, and the body is the emotions. And like this is something I've noticed a lot. Is like people have a disconnection between them, and like that's where their life just spirals into worse shit, right?
Right.
But then once you shut down the ego and the consciousness can come out, or the soul, whatever it's done or been however it's been treated, it does the opposite of. So if it's been a pushover, it comes out and becomes hyper aggressive.
Right.
And it's like that's my theory of it. But if you've drunk a lot, like that like might make some sense to you. But yeah, like
Completely.
but yeah, then that like gets into like the manifestation power of like when you're drunk, like, and you're not that confident, because I like people who are like selfish and like or some people who are confident and don't really have any issues, like they get drunk and nothing really goes wrong. They just get more confident, they have a good time, they let go,
And it helped me handle like rejection a lot better, because I would just be like, okay, she said no, next. Like you didn't care.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just one of those things. Alcohol also helped me grow a bit of a spine as well, because I was like, why is it that I'm so aggressive to people when I'm drunk? And I realized, like I sat there and I've self-reflected, I meditated on this, and I was like, oh, because I let people push me over, like when I'm sober. And that's something I self-reflected, and then like I think that's a good thing to look at when you're like comparing yourself to, I guess, to other people or bad boys, but then just looking at like how it's understandable that when you're sober that women might not be as attracted to you, because it's like you're a bit of a pushover, know? Or you just like you self-sacrifice your happiness for other people, and people like that's not an attractive quality. And then like without getting into it, like you can also like end up in codependent relationships. So I don't know if you've ever had that where someone's willing to self-sacrifice for you, and like you don't really want that because you're like, well, no, you need your own life. And then like that's something I experienced once, which is a bit weird, right? Because like codependent relationships, I don't think everyone has to end up in a codependent relationship. So you know what a codependent relationship is, yeah? It's just when
Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
Well,
it's,
like I think like my first major relationship was like that, where she became extremely dependent on me. Like it got to the point where literally she wanted me to move in and be there, all the time.
yeah.
But then at the same time, like I was a free spirit. I wanted to be out and about and not stuck in the house all the time. And then like she would get very mad, very clingy, physical, abusive, and it was ooh,
And
like ooh.
yeah, were you financially supporting her as well?
She stayed with her grandmother, and so basically, realistically, her grandmother, was giving her things and everything like that.
I say that
But
again. You
then
cut
it,
out. Sorry. Her grandmother was given what? It was Discord.
oh, okay. Basically, her grandmother was giving all the lodging, place to stay, food and different things like that. But it's like she would make her pay for her own, like if she wanted her Wi-Fi or if she needed, her phone, and then like cosmetics. And so it's like it got to the point where she stopped working, and it's like I was working, and then basically I started paying all her bills and everything like that, doing anything and everything. And then it's like we would have a lot of fights, and it's like this went on for like 4 years. Like
Okay.
there would be so much fighting. Like it was extremely extremely toxic. Like like I never thought I would be physical or do like the things that it's like happened in that relationship. Like I never thought myself capable of any of the things that were happening. I was like, I'm the nice guy, and then all of a sudden it's like I was in that relationship with her, and it's like I was like, holy shit, I'm the monster,
Yeah.
type situation.
Yeah, because then you're just enabling it, aren't you, as well?
Yeah.
And then like that get back that like there's a lot of aspects to that. Like it can just loop around to like a self confidence. Um, I never really like went that deep because I'm like I like to think I'm very very like self aware, right? Like
Right.
I've been more than others. I don't know if that's an egotistical thing, but whatever. So but I'll point out like things like that like nearly immediately, and
Hmm.
I have a thing where I guess like I just trigger like I give people like I trigger people quite quickly, or I cause them to have like existential crises like quite easily. So that's a so that's something that I've noticed. And
I'm
they
actually quite calm. Like I thought, like I was at, because like the other day, like I don't know if you saw like on the stream, like because it was really dark, like I was in full on tears. But it's like I guess the camera didn't pick it up, and like I was sitting there telling myself, like right before we went live, I'm like, oh shit, you're gonna cry today. But I haven't cried at all. Like I'm actually feel very very comfortable, like
that's
with everything.
that's good. I like there's a few well like this isn't about me, right? But there's like I'm still only like 6 weeks away from like giving up alcohol and all of that. So like I still have to like process some things.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, there's like I think I'm a very comforting individual, right? But yeah, I've noticed that, and people who are codependent, they can normally have like victim complexes as well. I don't know if that's what you experienced as well, where they like you get people who are hypercritical of themselves, and then you get people who are like have victim complexes where it's nothing was ever their fault. Um, so it's like you try to help those people, but then it's like it's hard to help people if you're not helping yourself, and like there's a few like obstacles that go with those issues. But yeah, when it comes to like manifestation and the law of attraction, like that's another way toward like manifestation.
Hmm.
And yeah, someone in the chat said, well, sometimes crying is very good for a person to release. Yeah, absolutely. Um, because I haven't really I have moments where I have like tears in my eyes. I think I've processed a lot, right? But it's like sentimental things have started to like make me like have feelings of emotions. But it's like at the same time, if you've gone through like a lot of weird shit, it's like also a bit harder to thin. But there's there's also ideas that like some people are like, oh, crying's for pussies and stuff like that, and it's like it's
I've
not.
been told that my whole life. Like the men in my family, they're like, "Oh, you're crying? Don't be a pussy.
Don't be a
You
pussy.
got to be a man.
Don't-
Oh, you fell down, you scraped your leg on the ground, rub some dirt in it, pussy. Don't cry." Like literally, like they made like they make it seem like you're not supposed to express your emotions. You have to
Yeah.
be this hollowed out being, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah, like toxic masculinity, or like emotions are for women. I've been told that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? And I think like that's actually I think that's something that does cause a lot of problem for men. Because there's a special word for it, which is like AX. It's like begins with like AX, and I can't remember it. But Dr. K said it. It's like men suffer, like especially like 20-year-old males, because like you're considered like a woman, or like, and it's a bit weird that we like just like technically also insult women by saying like, oh yeah, women are over emotional, and they're not. Like in my opinion, they have higher emotional intelligence. They normally have, like, there's other aspects where like women have to deal with like a lot of shit from men, so they have to mature faster, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a bit harsh that we like a lot, or society, or like not as much on Twitch, because Twitch is actually like quite sensible in terms of people on Twitch. There's a lot of viewers who are fucked up, like especially like the Squad W thing is a bit but it's a bit lame that like when you're a pussy for like, even the term pussy like is a bit like I
hate it, to be honest. To me it's like a very vulgar thing. Like it's like I've heard it so much, like even like in a pornographic sense. It's like it's gotten to the point where I'm just like, oh man, I hate that word.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like so yeah, it's because it's insulting to males, and then it's insulting to women as well. It's just like
exactly it's degrading, and it's no.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good word. It's just degrading. But yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with crying. I think actually, like, when I first went through the abusive relationship, is like I got triggered by little things, like, very strangely. I'm always about like moments of when people, like, even with shows, right? I can remember one part was like, even though it's a shit film, is The Force Awakens, the Star Wars, like the new trilogy. The first one is the bit where they're on the Millennium Falcon and they see Han Solo for the like first time, and it shows up and he's like, the stories of the Jedi's, it's like, it's all true, like the stories of the heroes. And you're like, I don't know if that's like a protagonist thing where it's like the ability to like see someone as like a hero, I thought was like very encapturing for emotions. But that's I can remember that was like 2 months after my abusive relationship. Or
sorry, my window, like the sun's setting, so it's like the lighting and everything's coming through. I'm trying to adjust myself.
Okay. You sure now you're not trying to cry?
No. You'll see it. Like, you'll see them run down.
Yeah. But I think like we're like, because we're having like a subtle conversation. I think it's not as like over the top where we're like we're bringing up like rough stuff, or like we are, but I think it's like a comfortable situation. I think like the idea of crying is a unique idea, right? It's like, why do we cry? Like if you think about it, it's like, why do we cry? And that's like, if you sat there and think about it, it's like you couldn't really come up with a realistic like I don't know why we cry. I'm sure maybe someone in the chat would like, but
something that I know, like someone told me like once, they're like, you cry because it's like you're feeling a very strong sadness, or like maybe an empathy towards something. Like it's not only like an emotional response to pain, but it's like it's an emotional response to someone else's feeling, I guess.
Yeah, but isn't that interesting though? Like a social or like a social cue from something else can cause like a physical reaction from us, because like you like looking at someone in a situation, or like you're feeling something, an emotion can cause you to have a physical reaction. Like that's really unique, isn't it? Like it's also like something why I think when you have nightmares or the recurring dreams, do you sweat a lot?
Yes.
Yeah? Like that's like, isn't that unique, right? It's like you can have a physical reaction to an emotional response, and it's like, because some people say like, our emotion, is it like an emotion that causes the response, or is the response causes the emotions? And it's like, well, it's unique, I don't really know. I know like I'm sure if Dr. K was here, he'd probably have like a much better answer than us. But like it's still something I'm truly fascinated by. But that's like, that's actually going into something quite unique, because I was talking to someone about this who had like weird dreams, and he would sweat, especially after he got divorced. Like he would sweat profusely, and it's
Right.
have you ever been like upset enough where you cried? Like it's kind of hard because this is like a mind body sort of thing. It's like your ego wasn't upset, but your soul was upset, so it cried
Yeah.
for you. But you could like there's sometimes you can cry and you can still talk fine, and then there's
Yeah.
sometimes you cry and like you snuffle up and you choke and you can't finish a sentence. And it's like like the way I termed it before was like the idea is like my body's crying for me, because it's like I'm so like emotionally numb that I lost that feeling,
Right.
which that's a sad thought. So like there's aspects like that which I've sat there and I thought about these for a long time, and I was like, why did these happen? And I only have theories, right? So I can only just talk for theories, but
Right.
yeah, I've no like it's interesting that you also sweat a lot when you have nightmares. Like
Hmm.
that's the same type of response. I would guess. I don't really know. Um, I don't really know why we ended up on this conversation either, but it's
It's all good.
yeah, I think like
Conversations can drift sometimes, once it's like, everything, can flow just like
yeah,
water.
absolutely, yeah. But yeah, we were talking about like well, like crying is a good thing, then toxic masculinity. We were talking about like confidence, so maybe we would talk about like maybe like law of attraction and like manifestation, because obviously I think everyone kind of like, even now I would like a relationship, I would like, but
Yeah.
I know that I need to heal from past trauma, because
Yeah. Same.
I don't feel like it's fair to just like seek a relationship to use their affection or their love to feel better about myself. I don't think that's
Yeah, and that's exactly why like I wouldn't pursue a relationship either right now, because it's like right now, like if I would want one, it's like you said, I want a lot of positive affirmation, like a lot of like affection and things like that. That would naturally, you getting those things are going to make you happy, but it's not going to help you actually deal with the problem. The problem will still be there, and it could come back even worse later down the road, and then you could in effect ruin that relationship, because it's like they didn't get the full completed version of you. They're only getting the happy positive side, and then it's like once things start going dark, they're going to see that other side of you, and then they might not like what they see.
yeah, which is it's understandable. And then there's also aspects where like you you would if you might not feel like you deserve it, so then you self sabotage it as well.
Exactly.
And that can come from like if you're insecure, like you don't feel like if you don't have enough self love and you meet someone who like you think is amazing, you might feel like you don't deserve them, and then you get insecure. Like they're going out, and you might worry, and like ideas start to like build up in your head, and you start to like sit on them for too long. It's like it would like cause a negative manifestation, a negative
Yeah.
law of attraction. And it's like Tesla. Like there's a cool video which is by was it Danda Panini, Danda Pani, I think it is. He's a Hindu like motivational talker, life coach,
Hmm.
and he mentions it as well. But it's like Tesla talks about Tesla, the person who created electricity, essentially. He talks about like the universe runs on frequencies and vibrations, and it's like you have to increase your vibration, because like this is why you see loads of people that have like a bad relationship, and then it ends, and they just like talk shit about that person. Oh, we ended because they're fucking crazy, they're fucking this and that, it's their fault. And then they go out and have a relationship with someone who's nearly identical,
Yep.
you know and then same thing constantly keeps happening, and then it's like it's no like when you sit here and think, like it's a bit sad that like it took me like 30 like to get to 32 to realize like some of these things which feel like they're basic, like it should be like common knowledge or
Right.
common sense, and it's not. It's like fuck, like even most of my family, I like have no idea about like some of these concepts. So yeah, that's kind of a sad feeling. But it's at the same time, it's like I'm glad that I managed to go through all these experiences and and learn from them. Because yeah, it's like, you know, I could have had more self love and not had that abusive relationship, but at the same time, I don't think I would go back and really change it. You know, because it's kind of like the idea that it's like sometimes it feels like you're swimming through a river of shit, but then
Yeah.
once you get through to the end of the river of shit and you come out clean on the other side, you step out and you're clean. It's like that wasn't as bad. But when you're
Yeah.
in the river of shit and you're drowning, it feels like, you know,
Horrible.
yeah, it feels like the worst thing ever. Like you're gonna drown, and like that's like inescapable. Which is, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I've never really heard people like coin it that way. So it's like that's the way I see it. Especially with like the drinking. But yeah, like I feel like you're definitely on the right path. You know,
Yeah.
like everything you said is good. You know, you're talking like sense, you're talking knowledge. You know, people in the chat have, you know, like said like, you know, you've definitely like improved. You're like, they said, you know, congrats on like quitting smoking, because 6 months is longer than 6 weeks. So like you're further along the path than me. So like, well done, dude. Like that's like a
Well,
lot.
do you mind if I give like a little mild shout out right now? It's
Yeah,
like realistically right now,
yeah,
like, you know, like about like now it's been over probably 3 weeks now, you know, that I've been, you know, doing things on Twitch and everything, like, you know, being part of the community. And so it's like, you know, I was in those darker depressions, in that darker mindset, darker state and everything. And then it's like I came on to Twitch, I started talking with people, I started, you know, like getting back out there, you know, like, you know, we're all gamers. So it's like this is my version of getting out there into the world, you know, like, and talking with people and socializing. And so it's like I'm in those darker, you know, mindsets and that darker mindset. And I go in to Doc one day. I think it was one of the days you were there, and then it's like, you know, I found you. I started following you, you know, watching your stuff, and then it's like I went back to Doc again because I'm like, okay, if I can find, you know, another positive person, that'd be awesome. And then, you know, I found, you know, Ellie Moon, you know, a very very sweet, you know, genuine person. You know, like I love her community so much. And so it's like I started talking in her chat, getting to know some people, and then I met, I think he's in here right now, Albana 11.
yeah.
Bro, he pulled me into, like, one night we were just sitting there in voice chat, and like I was saying, like, you know, how I used to stream and everything like that, and then he goes, why don't you start doing it again? I'm like, you know, and like I was sitting there, I was talking, I was very insecure about it. I'm like, man, I don't have the best of gear right now. I don't have the best, you know, mindset and the things. And he's like, no, 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 no. I think you should do it. And so it's like that one, like this goes back to, you know, like that what we were talking about like earlier about, you know, like mild, you know, positive affirmation, and then like a actual like push forward, like some encouragement to do something. It caused a ripple effect, and now, you know, like everything's just spiraling out, and it's like I'm going, and my positivity is reaching other people because of, you know, that one, you know, moment of, you know, some positive action towards me. And it's like it's just continuously building and building and building.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, shout out to Albana11. He has followed. I think he followed not long before you came on. So I think I thanked him. I've had a couple people follow, but I'm not gonna like acknowledge followers while this is going. All right, so
Right,
yeah,
right, right.
yeah. Well, apart from this one, we just got Elflux. So yeah, thank you, Elflux.
Yeah, Fox Diablo. Yeah, yeah. He's part of the mafia group that we do with
Yeah,
Ellie.
yeah, because it's one of those things like you've built that like Ellie Moon's is like pretty cool person. I briefly spoke to her because I said like, can I interview you? Like, but that was like just after she went on the Raj Patel show, and I know that she was overwhelmed by
Right.
like tons of followers, and the community has grown. Because like most of the people chatting right now are all from her community.
Yeah.
So that's cool, you know. I think there's probably some people in mine because I have this weird thing where like I come from esports scene and I've like left that and I have to build up just chatting, right? So I'm a
Yeah.
completely different person in terms of my content. So I'm glad that everyone here is here to support you. You know, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to you guys as well for supporting, and you know, Ellie Moon for creating a very positive community because she's very unique as well.
Yeah, very, very unique.
Very unique. I've been I was on the Survivor show with her as well with Clint. He runs so like, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that you it's one of those things as well. It like has a knock on effect. Like Dr. K has spoken about this. Is like when everything's falling apart, all you have to do is like start improving one aspect, and then it has a knock effect. Like it'll improve other aspects. Like obviously, I invested into this setup, and like I've had a knock on effect in my mental health, improving, streaming more, and it has a knock on effect with hopefully you. You bought a webcam. I don't know if you
Yeah,
bought.
I bought the webcam. I'm socializing more, family now, because before I used to completely cut them out. Like I wouldn't talk to them at all. Like you saw me the other day on my stream. I was talking about that I had just reached out and called my mother after not speaking to her for almost 4 months. So it's like, I've taken a lot of things that I used to not do. Like I had so much built up. Like you could see, like I got some furniture. Oh, this isn't my room. This is just like a storage room that has like my furniture and different things like that in it. And it's like stuff I've been meaning to, go through and sell. And it's like I've actually taken the time, get up, with motivation to, start, cleaning stuff, selling stuff, getting rid of it, and then, trying to, financially build myself back up. So this way it's like I can just keep going and keep, all the positivity moving forward. Cause it's like, I do plan on, being a full-time streamer on Twitch. Like I do plan on doing this. Like I want this to be my career. Like I've wanted this since I was a kid. Like not like, streaming wise, but it's like to do anything that is involving, like video games and like helping people. So it's like, to me, being a streamer, like me, if I was to be partnered and become like a big time streamer on here, I would, be, not only would I be doing what I love, which is, playing games, talking to people, I would be able to, like you said earlier, through my experiences and everything that I've learned from, give that wisdom to, a younger, age or something like that. Or I could help, if it's one person, 10 people, 100 people, a million people, like, I want, my positivity to just ripple out and just help as many people in the world as possible. And like, to me, that's going to make me like extremely happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, that's something that because I was like thinking about this as well. Because like, you could always host like a show where you talk about mental health, self improvement. You could obviously interview people as well. Because there's like a lot of people where it's just like, then it's good to like remove the stigma of mental health, because a lot of people don't talk about it, because it's like a lot of people make you feel like you're broken to an extent, or like you have like low worth if you've suffered, and like that's not the case, because if you can suffer and overcome that, then it makes you like a much stronger person. So like that's where I am, because it's like you get as many viewers as I do, realistically speaking, and I'm partnered. When I got partnered like 6 years ago, I had a big following back then, and it's it's something that like it's definitely possible. I would say as well, like doing self-improvement stuff is a big deal. So it's like I don't know if you're going to the gym, working out, if
That's actually something I'm planning on doing. Like, once I have everything financially set and like everything, all my taxes and everything come in and like I see what money I can have, that's going to determine, if I can go and just get like a setup to, be able to take. And then that's going to be part of my stream, like me going to the gym,
yeah.
to show people, hey, I'm here doing it. You can too, and then they could follow, that could be a certain day of the week where it's like I'll stream, working out, and people be able to track that and then be able to track my gains, and then I made it was so scuffed. Like I had a little podcast, and basically I called it Metal Talk with Gorgoroth. And so it's like I brung in a bunch of people from like my viewers and from Ellie's viewers and stuff like that, and it's like I'm trying to get more people around Twitch to come and actually be on it, where it's like I would basically be talking to people about metal being the main topic, but it's like it could stray into all kinds of things, like how you were talking about mental health. One of the questions I was asking everyone the other day when I did the first one was, what does metal music make you feel? Like what emotions are you feeling right now, like when you listen to it? And like a lot of the responses that people were giving me was positive ones. They're like, oh, it amps me up, it gets me hyped. But realistically, my reason for listening to metal music is because I'm relating to a lot of it, because it's like I've suffered, I've endured the pain, I've endured, the heartache and everything like that. So it's like I'm relating to it on a completely different thing. So it's like, I guess that's where like mental health, I could add that into the aspect of, not only talking about metal music, but other music genres as well, like how people could express themselves through that.
Yeah, because I've seen slight reports, and you can easily Google it, but it's like music. I remember tweeting about it as well. It's like music heals the soul. Like there's something about music where it's like it's considered a healing tool to an extent. It's like this. Like I'm not that big into metal, but I know that like metal is like the best type of music that you listen to, like, or you put on frag videos of like Counter-Strike. It's like it has like that, that adrenaline. If you want to go work out, you want something with a good beat, and it's like pumps you up. I don't really listen to much metal anymore. I used to be big into like Iron Maiden. That was like I loved Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was the shit, but Iron Maiden had strong lyrics as well. It wasn't just like screaming into the microphone. Like I used to listen to like a little bit of Slipknot. I liked more Korn. You were listening to Korn.
Yeah.
Like Korn was good. Like they had some really good riffs, and they didn't really like shout into the microphone like Slipknot. Slipknot didn't shout always into the mic, but there were some parts. I also loved like some System of a Down, like Chop Suey, like amazing. But now I listen to much more chill stuff now. I really enjoy like soundtracks from films, like classical music soundtracks, and like some like general classic music as well, or orchestrated music.
Right.
Kind of close to like Metallica's. Is it Nothing Else Matters? Like the one where they have the orchestra, and it's like that is like perfect for me because that's got like a lot of different elements to it. But yeah, do you ever consider like learning an instrument as well?
That's something that like I actually honestly wanted to do my entire life. Like I always, told my family, I'm like, hey, can I play the piano? Because it's like when I was younger, I was really big into classical music, like Mozart, Beethoven, and stuff like that. So it's like I wanted to learn the piano. But this comes into the fact where it's like they shut me down a lot as a kid. They were always like, no, you're not going to do it. You're going to give up on it. So no, we're not going to waste our time buying it. So it's like my whole life, like, being told no, 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 it made me, that's where I guess I could say I found that hypercritical, feeling in me, because it's like I've been told no my whole life. It's like, so I also wanted to play guitar, but now realistically, I don't think I could do it because it's like, getting into a lot of fights and doing different things, with security has messed up my hands a little bit. So it's like, like my knuckles on my right hand, these two are now conjoined.
Okay.
From, having to, I was trying to like swing at someone and then it's like I hit a wall. So, ow. But so it's like realistically I can't utilize my pinkies too much, so I wouldn't be able to like realistically play an instrument. So then my instrument became my voice. That's when I got like going back into being bullied. People used to make fun of me because like I was born in Georgia, so it's like obviously I had a thick country accent, and so I was made fun of a lot for it. Like I would always get the you sound like you're from Texas. Only steers and the Q word come from Texas. And so it's like, I got, I guess, fed up with it. So it's like I started watching movies. I started like watching a lot of cartoons, different movies where people and characters would be changing their voices. And then eventually it's like it got to the point where I could imitate different voices and different things perfectly after a lot of practice.
Okay.
And then it got to the point where the current, like, I guess I don't know what accent this would be called or anything, like the way I'm speaking now, this is what stuck. Like this was the normality of my voice instead of me talking home. Sound like I got a little bit of a twang or anything like that. Sound like I might come out of a trailer park or go over there, go to the bar, grab some beers and have some fun, you know what I mean? But having like something kind of like that, like I can do different variations of that as like Southern, but you get the gist of like, I used to be made fun of a lot for that. And so it's like I would go, watch all these movies, sit in a dark room. One of my masterpieces used to be able to do, like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings perfectly. And so it's like, over time I've started doing that. And then I guess one of my new hobbies now, because like I basically just got rid of like fishing as a hobby because, that was something I did down in Florida with an old group of friends. And like realistically, they're not really a part of my, like, I guess like I would say my circle anymore. So it's like that's one of my old hobbies I used to enjoy, but it's like I guess I've moved on from. So now my new hobby is trying to become like a vocalist. So
Yeah.
it's like one of my main things on, that Ellie has me do, and like a lot of people on Twitch have me do whenever, they join, is my guttural vocals, which it goes into like deathcore, that type of metal. And so it's like, that's something I've looked into, is turning my voice into the instrument.
That's cool. Um, yeah, that was a good accent as well. Like, I mean, that's really unique as well. I don't know what songs are on there, but you could always try like something like Twitch Sins, right, and just see what happens.
That's what everybody told me the other day. They're like, install this now. And then like yesterday, because I was going through like a little bit of emotional time, like before like I was streaming and hanging out with anybody, like I had kind of like a breakdown in the shower, and like I was singing, but it's like I was singing to the point where it was actually hurting me. Like a lot of people, the originals, like when Slipknot originally formed, Corey Taylor, the reason his vocals sounded so good because he was literally tearing his vocal cords apart.
Yeah.
Like him screaming, that was genuine screaming. Like that, he didn't have the control like you would hear in his music. Now you can hear the control in his voice, but before, he was screaming at the top of his lungs, like you're just screaming at someone. And so what I did yesterday was like I was screaming at the top of my lungs, like metal lyrics and stuff like that, getting myself hyped up, so this way I wouldn't feel sad. So it's like right now, realistically, I probably won't do any vocals tonight either because of it. I want to let my voice, recover, because if you don't, then
you're gonna fuck it. Yeah. Absolutely. Like it's also like I know that you can definitely like shoot your vocal cords. It's like Christian Bale and Batman doing that, like that Batman voice, like screwed him over in the first Batman film. He lost his voice a lot. But you could also like, there's probably like softer stuff, because like without generalizing, like larger people normally have a bigger diaphragm, don't they? So they have more power to their voice. So you never know what like could be laying in wait for you in that regard. And also like, if you're doing better, obviously like streaming isn't going to be that financially stable straight away. It's something you got to build up. So like hopefully you become financially stable. Like I would personally still like, if my health gets a bit better, because I'm still like quite frail in a sense, I'm not that financially stable, right? So I would still like maybe get like a part-time job just so I have more money. But I would like to play like a piano because I have like nimble fingers or good dexterity. But getting like a vocal coach, or branching out into networks where there's people who do like lots of just singing stuff, and go from there. Because I know in just singing you can like have dual streams, can't you? So you can interact with people. You'll find other streamers through it, and you never know what happens. So I definitely agree with people's advice to install that. I don't know. I don't know if it's free or not.
Yeah, it's free. It's free.
Oh, if that's free, dude, I would definitely recommend trying that. But yeah, don't kill your voice cords, because like that's pretty bad. But you see those people like they go on to like, I think you even in America you probably know her, but it's like Susan Boyle,
Never heard of her.
You never heard of Susan Boyle? She was big. She went on to like Britain's Got Talent.
Okay.
And she was in her 40s, 50s. No, I think she was in her 40s, and she went on it, and everyone thought like, oh god, like they dramatize the show, right? Because it's like it's like America's Got Talent, or do you have like American Idol? It's like American Idol.
They have America's Got Talent, American Idol, and then they actually have, I believe it's called The Voice itself.
Okay, yeah. And like obviously it's a show, so they dramatize it so it looks like more entertaining for people watching it. And then she went out there and like sung a song, and like it was amazing, and everyone like stands up and claps. It was actually like really really good. But this was like 2006, right? So right. But I remember like people in America would be like, when I went to America, they would be like, oh, are you related to Susan Boyle? I'm like, no, there's 50 million people in my country. Like, no, like, what the fuck are you on about? But it's like, in America, you think like the UK is like tiny, so like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, there's a few people who have like gone on those shows and just like you never expect them to be like talented, because they're just like very wacky characters. And like they blow it out of the park. So I can imagine like based on the accent, and you know you have clarity to your voice. Like that's, I would recommend that you try that.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of different types of talent shows, anyways. But there is, I don't know if you saw it. There was Twitch. Was it a TwitchCon that they had a sitting competition? Because one of my friends, Shanina Nina, went on it. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm 99% certain at TwitchCon, the one in just gone in like I don't know where it was, but the one in like it was September, I think, or October. Like they had, you know, a few people, and they went on the show. And Shanina Nina, one of my friends, who like I say friends, one of my like I've known her for years through Twitch. She didn't win, but I think first place was like $20,000. You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
let me see if I can have a quick look.
Because that's actually one of the things, like one of the hobbies that I was wanting to pick up was actually going to get a vocal coach, because it's like, I'm like, okay, if I can do all these things with my voice, I can do this metal screaming. Maybe eventually I might be able to become, you know, the lead singer in a metal band.
Yeah.
Something like that, or you know, even like a motivational speaker, you know, like different things like that. Like there's so much, you know.
Yeah. So I linked. It doesn't affect the cam thing, but I've linked it to you there, so that like in San Diego, so they had them on. I think like, you know, there were also males as well. And yeah, they, you know, that's something that can happen, right? Because everyone has their own like unique little talent, and it's like sometimes it takes you a long time to realize like you have a talent, especially if like you're brought up in trauma, because you're so used to being hypercritical of yourself that you just don't think that you have like the ability, and then you don't think like you deserve it, which, you know, without going into that could be like imposter syndrome and stuff like that, which is something I would definitely say I have, because like I don't think I would have the ability to be a good psychologist, but in the last couple of months, you know, I would like to think that I'm getting there. You know, it takes time or whatever, but it's, you know, it takes, with all skills, you have to work on them, and you have to, you know,
be persistent.
Yeah, you have to be persistent, consistent. You have to have like a passion for it, because it's like you said that you wanted to like use instruments your entire life, and that, like, you always notice like there's always a calling that people have.
Yeah.
Or, like, Dr. K has noticed this as well, or, like, talks about this now and then. It's like, I wanted to be a psychologist back in 2010. Like, I used to party a lot, and then I got bored of doing that. I wanted to go to education and do psychology. I sucked at school. I went to a Catholic school. I don't know if that pushed me off wanting to study, because they forced like creationism and crap like that on me, and I just knew it. Like, there was some, I knew it was wrong, and I was also like, I was in the stupid person's class for English, but I was also the only person in the worst class for English, and then the most advanced class for science. Right, the only things I passed was science. But I actually enjoyed science. I didn't like my English teacher. I didn't like my maths teacher. I liked my science teacher, and I went back to go to psychology. I was smoking loads of weed at the time, and I had a hard time waking up. But pretty much the month before I went back to education, StarCraft 2 came out. And StarCraft 2 is what I went professional in as a commentator. So, like, I would play loads of StarCraft 2. And it's like, I can't complain too much, right? Because, like, if it went for that, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
Right.
Because I went into StarCraft 2, I played that non-stop. I worked at Amazon, like, as a picker in the warehouse, picking up all the items where you have to run around with your cart. I worked over like 58-hour weeks to save up to get a new computer. And then I just played StarCraft non-stop. I went to the events, I networked, and so on. And, you know, that's like nearly 10 years ago.
Right.
But I always had that call in that, like, I was a people watcher, and I was obsessed with people, and I liked interacting with people, and I was good at philosophy. Oh, I was like, I was, I guess, naturally gifted at philosophy, because I'm just like very intuitive in my ideas. But it took me a long time to get to like where I am now. Like, but you, like, I think everyone has that calling, and I think like that's a bit of intuition, right? So like that's like a bit of a gut feeling, or your intuition, or there's just something about you that you like, you care really a lot about it. And I think like it's important to listen to that if you have it.
That's what, like, like coming into like fate, like the
Mm,
topic of maybe fate. I believe this might be my fate to actually do all of this. Like I've been saying my whole life, like I want to do something that helps people. I want to do something that, revolves around video gaming and speaking to people. And then it's like now I'm starting to, manifest it more. I'm, like I didn't think I was actually going to be able to come and be on this interview. I was like, okay, this person, that's, was very, in a hot spot, and like that is a partnered, person on Twitch, like they're not going to want someone that's, maybe at this lower level. I was really insecure about it in the
mm.
beginning, but then, you reached out to me and actually said, hell yeah, I'll get you on the show. And I'm like, no way. So it's like, it made me like this, it boosts my morale like a lot to,
Yeah,
be able to do all of this stuff.
absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know exactly how you find my stream. Every now and then I post an Ellie's thing saying, "Hey, like you can like I'm like she has a like advertise yourself thing, doesn't she?" So,
Mhm.
because I post there now and then, I don't post there all the time, but yeah, like obviously I know you came into the stream. I set up the interview like form
Mhm.
like only like 2 weeks ago or something like that, and then you joined, and then you didn't have a webcam, so it's like you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you like also bought the webcam because you like for the stream, and then so you could come into this as well, and then
Yeah.
it just like has a knock on effect. Obviously, the mic you're using is your headset mic, so it you sound fine, but obviously
Yeah.
if you get like a proper microphone,
It's going to be a lot better.
yeah, and you
And it'll be better for when I do my vocals too, like all the singing and the metal and stuff like that. Like
yeah.
everyone's telling me, they're like, dude, I can't wait until you get a proper mic so we can actually feel the rawness of your voice.
Exactly, because like that's I was mainly like you're fine for me right now, but I was gonna say because if you go into some streams obviously who have like the proper like I have a studio microphone, but they have like that bassiness sound to it. I don't know exactly what
Yeah.
it is. I think it's like they have a soundboard. Mine's this is a USB microphone. It's an AT2020, which is like a good microphone, but they
Mhm.
have like probably like an EAX type microphone with a soundboard, and then they like it has like that echoey feel to it.
Yeah.
um so yeah, I would be also curious for that. So like like I don't know if you have a donation goal or anything like that, but that's something like
Originally, I didn't want to set one up because it's like I didn't want people to feel obligated to like give me any money. Like the way I
yeah
wanted everyone to support me was, I appreciate any and all followers. And then it's like I wanted everything to be able to go through, like the tax form and everything like that. Because it's like I heard from, a couple of friends that streamed previously, when they got donations, they got, screwed tax wise.
yeah you
So like
got
I didn't want to do that, like to be screwed over with the donations on that. And it's like I didn't want people to, like feel like, I don't know, like I felt like I would be taking advantage of them, like if
yeah
I took like donations from them. So it's like if they want to support, it's fine for them to subscribe, just to follow, or even, now that they have that new bits thing, like, well, it's not new, but it's newer to me because I hadn't been on Twitch in so long. But so it's like, there's those two ways that they could do it
yeah absolutely
without me feeling okay, like, I'm putting up a donation goal or something, like now I'm taking advantage of people, or some people even say, some streamers do it to beg for money, and it's like I don't want that kind of thing, to come on my image. I
yeah
want it, hardworking, if I have to go, like you said, go get a full-time job or a part-time job to, be able to go and get my own things, I will do that. Like I don't mind, working harder to, achieve that goal.
yeah absolutely, because it's that's something like I turned it off and then I turned it back on. It was the scam train, as it's called,
Yeah.
the hype train. Jerry, like even last or the other day, like you subscribed when I was like, that's the first time I'd be like, hey, like you've got Twitch Prime, give me your sub. And if you don't, like, I'm not normally like that type of person.
Yeah, I know you were doing it jokingly. It was hilarious. That's why I was like, "Oh, you mean like this?" And then went
Yeah,
subscribe.
yeah. But it's one of those things because like a lot of people do use Twitch as like an escape mechanism. A lot of people are younger; they don't have a ton of money, and then there's you get the whales, as they're called, which will come in and like they're financially like super secure, so they don't like they jump like without going too into it. Like someone who I met from the Survivor show I was on with Ellie Moon.
Hmm.
Like I ended up on another chat show after that Survivor show, and they were like drinking, and I was talking with them. He ended up donate like he's a multi-millionaire, and he ended up giving me like $1,000. Because I was
Oh wow.
Yeah, and like that's like the most I've ever been donated. I was like, holy shit. Oh, and that's allowed me to. I paid to do like an extra educational course because I failed. Like I said, I failed English, and I want to. I actually want to write a book. No, it's not Fatty Melon, but it's not.
Yeah, I see that. They put
Yeah,
Fatty.
it's not.
I was just about to ask, was it Fatty Melon?
No, it wasn't Fatty Melon. But like yeah, like you get the people like Fatty Melon, right? And they like they're called like the whales. That's what you call them.
I like what Trainwreck calls them, his oil princes.
Yeah. Except like because Fatty Melon is from Saudi Arabia or something. He's from UAE. So yeah, like they drop loads of money. But no, I won't say his name because he did it while he was off stream. So, but it's like I was just talking to him about mental health. But then and there's also like I get trained by Dr. K. So hopefully once the training finishes in like 7 weeks time or something like that, then there might be people who might pay to have coaching from me,
Right.
and that's, like that's not so bad. So like but one of the things it's like it's a knock-on effect, and I only like I've been on Dr. K's stream, and that only like about a month before I went on his stream was when I was like I really started like this was October, so in September is when I started drinking a lot less, not like every day, and then yeah, like I went on Dr. K's stream, and I remember talking to someone and said like I want to be a mental health coach because I have like all these ideas and I want to write a book, and they were like, oh well, like are you gonna do this or is this all in your head? And I said, like, I don't know. Like, and then the next day, I messaged, or I went into the Healthy Gamer community, and I asked, like, this is like an introduction part, and then you can just like write your introduction. I said, hey, like, I want to come onto the show. I want to get into mental health. I want to move away from pro gaming. And then Dr. K messaged me, and he's like, hey, are you Pewy? Because Dr. K used to be a fan of me when I did StarCraft 2. So like he got me onto the show immediately, and then when I said like I want to do mental health, like a month later, I saw his wife tweet about becoming a coach with Healthy Gamer, and she said like, yeah, you'll apply, you'd be great for this. And then I applied, I got like brought in on that, and it's like once you start improving certain aspects of your life, it's like also the quote, it's like once you're ready to learn, the teachers show up in life,
Yeah.
And it's aspects like that. So yeah, it has a knock-on effect. So yeah, like I don't know why I'm talking about myself so much, but yeah, like
No, it's all good. It's all good. That means you're comfortable with, like I myself, like, a lot of people tell me, I'm a very open person, and it's like I will share, my heart and soul to someone, and like I guess the cause and effect of that is like people feel like very connected to me easily, and so they start, sharing their stuff with me as well. So
yeah,
like, it happens a lot. So it's all good.
yeah, it's just one of those things. I gotta make sure, like, because in coaching, if someone's paying for my time, I gotta make sure that I don't talk about myself too much, or like
Right.
just little bits. But on a stream like this, it's not as bad because it like offers insight.
Yeah.
And yeah, Paradin Kishi, he's in the chat. He's like those prawn cocktails. You don't have them in America, but there's prawn cocktail Pringles. They're like the best flavor of Pringles ever.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say I've never seen that color of the can.
Yeah, it's prawn cocktail. It's literally like I don't know. I've been told that they like. I've actually never had prawns because I was a really picky eater, but I should try some prawns. But prawn cocktail is like so delicious. It's like to put it into words is like really hard because it just has like this. My mouth is watering or salivating just like thinking about it. But they just. It's really weird to word. Like I couldn't really compare what they taste like. It's just so good. But they're like I've seen them on lists of like 50 weird foods to try, and it's like prawn cocktail crisp flavor because you get them on other crisps in the UK. It's just like, but everyone who I'm like nearly everyone who I know that has ever tried them has like, it's like they're the best. I know a couple of Americans who import like the boxes of like. In America, they're Lay's, but in the UK, they're called Walkers. And you can get Walker's prawn cocktail flavor. So, if you ever know anyone who's coming, like a friend, or if you go to TwitchCon, be like, hey, bring me some prawn cocktail crisps.
Got you. Paradin, you heard that, right?
Is Paradin, are you British Paradin? But yeah, they're, they're so good. They are so good. I am indeed. Okay, nice,
That man, he's gonna be a voice actor one day.
nice, sweet. Um,
Mm.
yeah, they're delicious. I haven't actually. I have them. I have one because my niece wants to. My niece is always like, "Oh, can I have them?" But because my teeth are a bit I
Mhm.
they like Pringles can be a bit bitty, so they get into your teeth, and you're like.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like. They're so good, man. They're so good. But yeah, hopefully maybe I'll come to TwitchCon and you'll be there, and I'll bring you.
That's actually like my goals. That's like one of my goals that I set up. I was like, okay, I gotta start making money so this way I can have a ticket to, be able to go to TwitchCon and meet, all these streamers that I'm getting to interact with. And, then they'll be like, oh, what's up, bro? And, like, then, if there's even, people that, come to my stream, like I'd be able to meet, people that it's like maybe I've helped and motivated and everything like that.
Yeah,
Like, I'm really looking forward to that.
yeah. That's. I'm still on the fence. Obviously, like for me, it'd be even more expensive from Europe. It's not the worst thing ever, but
Hmm.
like because I come from pro esports, I'm always like, oh, TwitchCon, fucking plebfest, because I always go to esports events, and I was always
Right.
like, I would get to work them and stuff like that. So it's like I'm a different caliber of like, Twitch user to an extent. Um, but yeah, I was going to be going to TwitchCon, but yeah, obviously TwitchCon Europe just got cancelled.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, like I saw that coming. Some people think it's a bit premature, but I think like they would rather limit the risk that people take now and just cancel it now.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit hard to say what's going to happen. Saddest part is I bought my ticket at 1 a.m. the same day they cancelled. God did. I mean,
That's
at least you're getting a refund too. There's some people who have, there's someone who I saw was going to the RLCS, which is the Rocket League Championship Series, like an esports event up in Austin, Texas, at like the 21st of April, and he's got like $800 flights that are non-refundable.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so like there's people out there who have non-refundable tickets and non-refundable hotels. So like, or like some people might not have bought the tickets yet, for flights, and like that just saved them like, $500 So kind of sucks that it's canceled. I wasn't going. Yeah, so I like it doesn't really affect me much.
Mhm.
But a lot of like because I'm a Twitch partner, I have a lot of partnered friends, right? So it's like
Right.
I knew a lot of people who were going. So sucks, but at the same time, I guess like
It's for the betterment.
like there's loads of things. Like there was literally someone I follow on Twitter and like who used to be on Method Gaming with me. He went to like he's in the fighting game community, so FGC, for Mortal Kombat. He like got to the event, he flew, and then as he got there, they're like, "Oh, it's cancelled."
Oh.
Like it's like there's things like that happening. So it's like, I shouldn't be that grateful that I'm okay because other people have got way 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 worse. I know loads of people are still going to fly to Amsterdam for TwitchCon. Like I've seen a few people saying, "Hey, like I'm still going. We can still have meetups." Because if you have a non-refundable flight, you might as well kind of go.
Take it and go anyway. Just find something to do.
Yeah. Because I don't know how airlines work when it comes to like those types of things. Like I don't know if you could like change the flight and have that value adjusted to another flight and just go somewhere else. But obviously, like this coronavirus is like fucking the world economy. In a sense. So
because it's going to start making so many things go up and down, and then a lot more things are going to. It's going to like cause like possible recessions and all kinds of stuff, and it's going to be horrible.
yeah, exactly. The recession is a bit worrying. Because they're like a budget airliner, but Flybe they're called. Like they've gone under. They've gone bankrupt through this, and it's like, well, rip. So yeah, there's those types of aspects. But it's like at least we have our health, right? At least people aren't gonna be dying. Like that's a bigger factor. But yeah, I saw something on Reddit the other day which I thought was quite smart. It was like a football manager for like I think it was Liverpool football manager like being interviewed, And they're like, "Oh, what do you think about coronavirus?" He's like, "Why the fuck you asking me, dude?" It's like, I'm a football manager. He's like, "Go ask the experts." You know, they're like, "I'm not qualified to talk on this, and you're not qualified to talk on this either." It's like, shut up, because there's yeah, there's a huge amount of misinformation going about. You know, the scaremongering.
Exactly. And so many people keep coming to me and asking me about that. And my grandmother keeps trying to talk to me about it. And I said, look, I'm a gamer. I don't leave the house. I'm not scared of shit. It's not going to get me. And then she goes, oh, that means it's going to get me. I always leave the house. And I'm like, so be like me. Stay in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, listen, like, you know, you can watch a YouTube video where they have like experts, but it's like still some people,
Yeah.
like you get experts out there who are awful. But yeah, as Paradin Kishi said, like, I kind of hope they listen to some of the big partners who are asking them to reschedule it instead. Possibly. I mean, the thing is, they might reschedule it after this guy is over, right? Because they can't like reschedule it for another month later, and because no one knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not spreading like awfully quick, but then, you know, I read an article, not an article, I saw a headline on fucking like, I swear I saw one a few too many times on Reddit, where it was like some guy had it and he purposely knew and he went out to clubs, you know, to spread it, like, because there are people out there who like are very much happy to watch society like fall apart, you know, because it's like their lives are very miserable and they're unhappy and
they just want to watch the world burn types.
Yeah, I love how like Christopher Nolan coined so many good phrases. But yeah, from Batman, The Dark Knight, you know, some people just want to watch the world burn, and they do.
And so, so that's funny. Like, because I know one of your questions was, you know, what was it, like something about superhero or villain and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
What was the exactly?
When you were younger, was it? If you had to pick one of your childhood heroes or childhood villain to stand up for you, which would it be and why?
So can I pick a hero and a villain?
Yeah.
I'll do Batman and the Joker. Because, you know, it represents both sides of the spectrum. Batman, you know, like he represents, you know, like the positivity that it's like I would want to do, you know, so it's like he would, you know, be there to stand and basically be like a positive shield. But then, you know, at the same time, you know, maybe you do need to be saved by the Joker. You know, maybe you do need to recognize, you know, the madness, you know, and like the qualities that he could have too.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know about like if I haven't answered that myself. It's kind of weird because I would never say like I had a favorite or a hero that I looked up to. I was a big fan of like Spider-Man, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I like Spider-Man, but I just like the Spider-Man cartoon on like Nickelodeon, you know, like or Cartoon Network. But whenever I was younger, like it was a real life person. You have it in America, like gladiators, where they like have obstacles and there's like plebs and they have to go up against
the American gladiators.
Yeah, in the UK it's just called gladiators, right? But there was one guy who I like really, really looked up to. He was like, I wanted to be a firefighter because he was a firefighter. So maybe I'd pick him because like. Right. I know once again, like I like the idea of that he actually like he was a real life superhero because he saved people, you know, because firefighters are like good people normally, you know. You get cops who can be quite corrupt. You don't really get many like corrupt firefighters, or you don't hear of them anyways, you know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight that fire today, nah.
No, the firefighter Paradin. Depending on how old you are, it was Sarakan, so he was the black dude. This is a really stupid thing. When I was younger, I thought you had a choice of being color. My mom asked me, she was like, "What do you want to grow up to be?" And I was like, "I want to grow up and be black," because he was black, which is so fucking stupid when you think of it now. Because, but I was a kid, but I like idolized Sarakan, and he was a firefighter, and he's just like, he was my hero when I was like, if I was to pick anyone who I like idolized, it was him. And I don't really know why, because it's not like. You know, he was there like fighting bad people in the show, but he was like, I think he was always friendly and he was always like really hard to beat within the shows. And I just like that guy. I don't know why, but yeah, bad guys. I have no idea. I never really idolized like shows like that or anything, so it's hard to say. But yeah, that's a good question. I got that one from Reddit, so shout out to that
Oh,
person. Because I
thank you from the person from Reddit.
yeah, I like there's loads of questions on here. I do feel like we've dabbled some of them, and then but obviously I think the big thing to take away from this conversation was like some of the ideas about I think so it's a bit of a weird one, but the idea of like your body being able to cry and crying, like or
Mm-hmm.
being able to cry for you, and then how crying isn't like something that you should be made ashamed of or be made fun of for doing, and then
Mm-hmm.
talking about dreams. I think that's a big one, and then I think like jumping into meditation and like being able to process emotions is I think like if you're having recurring nightmares, right? Because I think that there's
Yeah.
I think there's something within that you have to face.
Yeah.
And like I'm not a professional here, but I do think like that's something you can overcome. I don't think that's something you have to live with. Is recurring nightmares, because obviously if you have insomnia and it's affecting your sleep,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to make you very. It's going to make it much harder to be a functional human being if you're not functioning with your sleep, because you need sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But I never had recurring nightmares, but I had trouble sleeping. And it's been getting a lot better. As I like, I meditate. I like, if you have trouble meditating, it's not the worst thing. Like, there's a bunch of different ways. There's a there is content on Healthy Gamer about finding the type of meditation that's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can also do like more spiritual type of meditation, which is like white light meditations, where you like you close your eyes and you try to visualize yourself breathing in white light and then breathing out through your mouth black light, which is like breathing in positivity and breathing out negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also like body scan meditations where like it's kind of the same with white light, but you like you will sit there and like you start with your feet and you build yourself up. So you go throughout like you try to send like do you know what it's like when you have like sensations that run up and down your body? Like
Yeah.
if you're anxious.
Kind of like a cold chill or something. Like when you get a cold chill, you feel the tingliness on
Yeah,
your neck, kind of.
yeah, it's that type of thing, but a forced one. But you start at your feet and you send like that sensation from your
Mm-hmm.
feet up to your tip of your head, and you go through it one by one. So like your feet, your ankles, your leg, your knee, your thigh, then your hip and all that, and just
Mm-hmm.
see how you feel. You could also correlate that to something like chakras, which is a bit weird, but it's something that
That's something that I dabbled in like over the past 2 years, learning about different chakras and things like that. Like,
yeah,
because it goes into also like something I was taught in the martial arts, like to prepare your body for the fight. Like I guess you would do like what you would probably call like a form of meditation, but it's like you were realigning your chakras, balancing your energy throughout your entire body to get ready.
yeah.
So this way, not one point is weaker than the other. Everything is nice and balanced out.
Yeah, and then you like depending on what's wrong, the 7 chakras they mainly start around your groin area. But like if you're like your throat chakras, having a bit of a thing, you could be like I need to chill out and focus on making sure what I'm saying is correct or not straining my voice or like saying the right words. It's stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I always had issues with my like this area around my arm, which is like the heart chakra. So that was like you could relate that to like a lack of self love. It's weird how things like that can connect, but it's nice to have that spectrum of ideas. But then like that's called like a full body meditation.
Yeah.
And just stuff like that. And then self reflect on because obviously there's stuff in your past that is quite traumatic, and it's gonna be hard to overcome it. But I like I'm 99% certain you could overcome it. Because it's like without going into it, like obviously they talk about how psychocillin or psychobilin, whatever it's called, like psychedelics will help with the emotional processing of trauma. Even ketamine to an extent. There's that one. There's iophagia, whatever it's called. You can go into retreats to like Chile and stuff to do that because I don't think it's legal in America.
Mm-hmm.
There's also MDMA or ecstasy, like that one as like they're only now starting to like approve of this by the FDA, you know, but it's shown to help with the emotional processing of your trauma, and that like that's a big thing, right? Because there's like people who have like serious PTSD from like wars, like that, like you know, like really suffer, and you know they want to help those types of people. So I like it's one of those things like that's something like I'm fascinated by this, so I want to like re-educate myself or get this English qualification, then do like a couple of accredited when like I'm doing them from home. Then I might have to, you know, at one point I probably have to go to an, you know, an educational institute and go to medical school or something.
Right.
But like my dream is to be like the leading expert on consciousness. Like that's what I want to be. Because like I don't know, that's something I'm just obsessed with. So it's like that's something I'm gonna just try to do. And obviously learning about other people's experiences and talking with them and how they see the world, because everyone has their own reality. Like everyone sees the world in their own different way, and that's a unique thing. So many people get obsessed with thinking that the way that they see the world is the only way you see the world, but it's like you can condition yourself to see the world in different ways, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like I see the world in like a philosophical way, but if I spent loads of time around artists and painters and stuff like that, I might start to see the world in more artistic way, you know. Or if you spend loads of time around musical people, you might start to notice sounds and vibrations of things, and like see the world in more of a musical sense, you know. Like you can condition yourself to do that, and I find that like really fascinating. But yeah, I don't know if you can tell, I'm starting to like wrap this up because we're like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Because
I noticed.
Yeah, so I like, but I wanted to leave on some notes to chat with, because I think meditation is just like have you seen the episode of The Mind Explained on Netflix?
No.
No, there's a 5-part series. There's also the sex explained, and then there's like just explained, which is like economics and, you know, pregnancy and whatever. But like if you get a Buddhist monk and put him to an MRI machine and look at like his brain waves, like there's a massive fundamental difference between his brain and a normal person's brain. Because meditation is literally proven to increase like everything in terms of positive aspects, you know, happiness, mindfulness, the ability to focus, how you process emotions. It's just literally, it's so well proven that it blows my mind that some people will talk shit about it like it's a really bad thing. And it's not. So yeah, I would recommend that you meditate, but go to Healthy Gamer and look at that stuff, because Dr. K knows more about it than me.
Gotcha.
But yeah, is there anything, like, we can still talk generic stuff, if there's anything you want to bring up.
Not really. My grandmother's here, and like it's funny, like she's been, I don't know if you noticed her, like the door back there, she was waving trying to get my attention for something, and then she even came to the door that's right here.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know what she was trying to do. Like I told her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna probably be in an interview for like 2 to 3 hours, you know.
Yeah.
So I was getting a little anxious. I'm like, what is it? Is it something important, or are you just trying to say hi?
Yeah, I mean, you could have moved it and gone ask her, but yeah.
No.
But yeah, dude, I think that now's a good time to like end it then. Just go check on your grandma, because she might need something. Maybe there's a big spider she needs you to go kill or something.
More than likely, it probably is a pest problem.
Yeah? Okay, that's a random guess then.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I've got a few people who I've spoken to, and I don't know when I'm going to get them on. I'm like being productive, right? So I'm reaching out to loads of people and doing things, and I'm like, there's some like bigger people who I want to like write a list on and be like, hey, like, you know, like here's the things I want to talk about. One of them is Ethan Evans, who's the vice president of Twitch Prime. So he's agreed to come on, but I feel like I can't just be like talk about random shit. So I've written a list, and he actually makes some good content. But yeah, if you want to come on in like a week or maybe 2 weeks, and we'll talk about you meditated, how your dreams are doing, and just carry on this kind of conversation. Especially if you, especially if you do Twitch Sins, right? Because I would check that out as well personally. right, cool. So thank you for joining me, dude. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, awesome,
Yeah.
dudes. Yeah, I'm gonna. It's one of those things where sometimes it's like you don't hang up like a normal phone now, so it's like I have
Yeah, now you're just like, all right, well, I'll talk to you later, and
Yeah.
then you did.
yeah.
All right, well, have a great stream.
You too, dude. Thank you. Take care. All right.